Traveling the Vortex.
We've joined the Doctor as he travels the Vortex, and landed episode number 170, and we've all become unpeople, undoing, unthings, untogether. I'm Unkeith.
I'm Unshawn.
I'm Unglenn.
How are you guys undoing today?
Very ungood.
Good.
Ungood.
Very merry unbirthday.
Unmeh.
Unmeh.
It is our unbirthday.
It is all of our unbirthdays.
This is my unbirthday.
March 27th was Mason's birthday.
Ah.
It was,
A couple days ago. How was his birthday?
He was sick. Which seems to happen every year. The poor kid. He was all excited. He woke up. Actually, Mason's history, I've told you about this before. He gets strep very easily. In fact, he needs to get his tonsils out. I think we're finally doing that this summer. But we've been in the clear all year. This is the first year that he hasn't had strep repeatedly. He hadn't had strep until like middle of... Actually, I think it was the beginning of fall. So this is the longest period of time he's gone without getting strep. We were so excited and thought, we're going to get to spring, and he doesn't usually get it in the spring and summer. So he had a sore throat, and the first thing we thought was, that's going to be strep. We know, because he just gets it. And he said his throat was kind of a tickle. It wasn't even hurting, and we thought, okay. But there was no fever, which is typical for strep. You usually get a fever if you have strep, so... We kept watching and kept taking his fever or temperature. He was fine. The next morning he got up and he said his throat was much better and he didn't have a temperature. And so we were like, okay, well, send him out the door to school. Then I got a call just before I was getting ready to go to work, and he had gotten sick at school, which is another thing, is because the bacteria sits in his throat, gets in his stomach, and it irritates his stomach. And so I went and got him and brought him home. And fortunately, my mom has retired now, so she anytime the kids are sick, they can go over there. So that was on his birthday, and he had taken cupcakes to school, and my mom had made brownies to have when the kids got over there after school, and all this stuff. And he didn't really feel bad, but he did get sick a few more times, and so it just wasn't really his day. So we felt really bad for him. But we took him to the doctor that night, got him on antibiotics, which once you're on them 24 hours, you're not contagious anymore. And so, which is good, because today was his birthday party with friends at Gage Park. So he was well and great spirits today. So we actually got to celebrate the birthday today.
Oh, that's good.
And we'll do another birthday party next weekend with the families, because this weekend didn't work for everybody. And Holly's sister and brother-in-law and their kids are going to come in next weekend to see Caitlin in the play. So that's the perfect opportunity just to do it then, so everybody can be there. So that's part of what we did today, or this week, was we had little birthday festivities on Thursday. He got to open some gifts and stuff, and then a big party for him this week. Caitlin's in her second week of the show. I guess I'll just launch into what I've been doing this week.
Go for it.
I didn't really watch anything, though, that I recall.
I did.
Did you?
But
okay, I'll get there. Are we starting my blog?
Oh, yes, you did.
I did. I finally got my review up of The Day of the Doctor.
I read that.
I got my review up at the Time of the Doctor, because I just right off of that one, I was like, okay, I might as well just go on and review Time of the Doctor. So I got that review in, which we reviewed on the show. But that was one of the things that when I started the blog mid-year last year, and then I restarted again when I got excited with the countdown, and kept up with it there until like that last week. And then when the special came and went, I just kind of fell off. And so
it was kind of that point where I think all of us were kind of like,
yeah, and I think that was part of it. And so what came up, and I thought, it was kind of a promise I made to anybody that reads the blog, doesn't necessarily listen to the show. And I thought, well, I can maybe lend a little insight, or this is like being able to let it set for 3 or 4 months. Now I can kind of rehash it again. So I did that. I did the same thing with Time of the Doctor. And then last night, it's one of those things that you'll likely probably get a post from me maybe twice, maybe once a week. So I had 2 in a row there, and I was like, I'm not promising anything to anybody. It's kind of going to be a fluke. But then Friday night, when we got done with the Mutants, I got excited and watched the making of. So I thought, well, I want to review the Mutants, and I thought, this will be good enough. So I reviewed the making of the Mutants. I can't remember what it's called now.
Mutt Bad.
That's it. And so I went in and reviewed that. So, I mean, it was less of a review of a documentary, because it's really hard to review those kind of things. It's more of a, if you don't watch it, here's kind of what they talk, or if you want to watch it, here's what they kind of talk about without spoiling a lot of stuff. So, I did that. And that's pretty much it. Most of it's been, getting ready. Mason's party day was a Minecraft party, and there's not a lot of that stuff out that you can buy commercially. So we made a pinata, which was a gassed, which came out really well.
Are those the green things?
No, these are these.
No, those are the ones.
They're big old giant cubes that float around in the nether and shoot fireballs at you, and they're annoying as heck.
It's kind of like the ghost from the haunted levels of Mario.
Except, it's kind of what it looks like. But they shoot fireballs, and they're huge, and they're hard to kill, and they're hard to avoid. And so we made that. And
it's pretty much one of those is coming. It's like, run away.
We made a little sit around. We bought some of those, the Chinese carry-out boxes. They sell them in craft stores now, and they're like multicolors. And so we got a green one and made a creeper face on it. We got some black ones and made Enderman heads on those. The kids got gift bags that we really kind of color coordinated everything. The other thing that I thought was fun that we did was we got pink balloons. We didn't get all pink, but we got green and pink balloons. And on the pink balloons, we put pig faces on them, so they've got the little big eyes and nose and everything, which they look actually kind of cute.
I don't get it, but it sounds cute.
And I made a banner,
They're
but
little block pigs.
they're adorable. Okay. And then you kill them for pork chops. And then
we have stuffed ones at the store.
You do?
We have stuffed pigs.
That's awesome.
And we just got in an ocelot.
Oh, really?
It actually it's a yellow pig, but on the tag
Why
reads.
Is it a pig?
Well, it's the same.
No, ocelots are cats. They look like.
Well, it'd be the
leopards.
same shape.
Oh, it's the same. No, because the ocelots aren't even the same shape.
There's like ocelots in the game?
Yeah, that's what you get. You feed ocelot. They're wild, and you feed ocelots fish, and they become your house cats.
Serious?
Yes, yes. You got to find. You can only find them in jungle
cats?
biomes. So if you're not anywhere near a jungle biome, you'll never see them.
I had no.
They look like leopards when they're ocelots.
They look just like the pigs to me, only they're
spots?
yellow instead of the plush ones. And I opened it up and it said Minecraft Ocelot.
Do
And I
they
went,
lose them when they become house pets? They do.
It's the weirdest thing.
That's
the first
weird.
one I ever saw.
That's really weird.
Caitlin changed it into a house cat, and it went from this leopard-looking thing to a black and white cat. It just changed its color. Well, that's kind of weird. Because the dogs, they get a collar, and that's it. They look the same, but they have a collar.
well, because they're wolves.
Right. The
turn into huskies.
ocelots turn into cats, house cats. Huh. They look similar, but they're just different colors.
Their body shape is the same.
The one that I finally found turned into a Siamese pattern cat. So
I had no idea there were real ocelots in
That
the
is
game.
bizarre.
I just thought they were rehashing the pig plush and painting it yellow and calling it something else because I thought, wow, that's really lame.
They don't look anything like pigs in the game. That's why I'm shocked.
No, it's the same square body.
That's my point. Is they look like slender dogs and they're long. They're like more rectangular than blocks.
Well, maybe the pig
their
plushies
eyes
look
kinda
more like
the same, but that's about it. But all the eyes on everything looks nearly the same.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah,
continue.
ocelot. No,
I had no
fine.
idea there were ocelots in that
Go
game.
find your jungle biome. They'll be in there.
Dude, it started snowing in my jungle.
What?
Yeah.
You shouldn't have snow.
I asked Billy, it's like, what setting did you change? And he's like, dude, I didn't do it. It just, because we built the house up on the hill, we had the whole thing. My pool froze over. I was like, are you kidding me? And he said, every now and then it is possible the biome changes.
See, that's not true. I've read on that. It's not true. But what happened is it changed one time for you because I bet what happened is the Microsoft version has been several steps behind everybody else and so their updates come. So like the stuff you could do in PC a year ago, we're finally getting to do on Minecraft on the Xbox. And what has happened is they did an update, and it chose to share that biome with that update. So you got snow automatically when they introduced snow into the thing.
I was a little miffed.
You typically won't get snow in your jungle biome.
I have to go and break the ice off my pool.
Yeah, you're in a snow biome now. Is what's happening.
Yeah. I mean, it's not deep. It's not like,
And if you're near
it's
a
not
jungle,
like winter is coming. But
your jungle biome may have shifted, and you may have to go find another jungle to get ocelots. So, because ocelots came late to the Xbox game too.
Okay, well maybe that's why I haven't seen them.
I want to say it was mid-year last year, or maybe even late last year, that the ocelots came to the Xbox.
Okay.
So,
yeah, and it's really frustrating when because I built a glass pool. So I go and I break the ice, and I hit one too many, and then I punctured a hole in the bottom of the pool.
Because it doesn't turn back to water, it just goes away.
Yeah, the ice goes away, and then and then I have to go and get a brick. I have to go back and down the spiral staircase and come back up, put a brick in there.
They just did an update this week because Caitlin noticed they have tripwires now. You can get tripwires.
Billy was saying something about that.
You can get ambles, so you can make name tags for your characters. What else did she?
I want name tags for my trunks.
Pumpkin pie has been added, so your pumpkins are worth something now.
Yay!
Which I always thought was weird that they didn't just add the pumpkin pie when they put pumpkins in the Minecraft or the Xbox version, because I thought the pumpkins are pointless. I mean, you can't even eat the pumpkins. You can't do anything with them.
You can make jack-o'-lanterns out of them.
Yeah, well, that's true. Yeah, I guess it does.
That's probably why they added it
which
in.
I think is silly, but they probably did back
around Halloween.
You can make jack-o'-lanterns out, but now you can make pumpkin pie out of them, so it makes sense to farm them now. That's the thing, is I've been farming them on my PC version because I can make pumpkin pie out of them. It's another option for food. So
wait, you have a PC version
well,
too?
The Mac version.
They call it the personal computer version. No,
right.
I have the Mac version.
But you're not just playing it on the Xbox now. You have it on the computer as well.
2 weeks ago, or actually several weeks ago when I brought that up,
month.
and I told you I could show you my house that I had done and everything.
I just assumed you'd tap into your Xbox.
It just goes to show he doesn't pay attention.
You are so hooked on this game.
I've been saying that. I've been admitting to that. I have it on my iPad too. I've got the Pocket Edition, but the Pocket Edition's crud. I do not play it because it's not very good. Luckily, it was only $7. But yeah, I bought the PC Edition a long time ago. Like just a few weeks after I was playing on the Xbox, I bought the Pocket. Mostly because the kids are always on the Xbox, and so I can go over here and work on my world. And I've liked the PC version better because it's a lot more advanced. I mean, as far as things you can do, it's got horses and saddles and all that kind of stuff. So, which I think now I heard that horses have finally been added to the Xbox too. So, which Caitlin's excited for because she'd watch me play on the PC and she'd get all jealous because there was all this other stuff that I could do. It's just like, I wish that was on the Xbox version. So yeah,
I'd be excited for horses just because I could go riding somewhere and come back before nightfall.
I'll tell you, that helped because I think I talked last week that I finally found my wolves. For months I've stumbled across. I've gone and I had to go way far away, and every time I stumbled across a wolf, I didn't have a bone on me, and then I finally had a bone on me and went over an ocean. And I found some wolves, and I was so excited, and I got in a boat and came back across the ocean, think they would teleport to me, because that's what they do. They won't teleport over great distances of ocean, and I can't put them in the boat, and the boat ride, literally on my PC, was like 7 minutes. It took me that long to get across my ocean. So that has been my quest, was to find dogs, and so finally I got on one of my horses, or my horse, I only have one, I got one horse and 2 donkeys. You got donkeys too. Got on my horse and I rode it out like just as far as I could on a different direction I'd never gone before, because you have to find forest biomes for them, or woods. And I finally found one. I was like, oh, so excited. And I got up there and I got him and I friended him. And I was like, yeah, I got a dog. And I got on my horse and I looked and there was a pack of them. And I went, oh, I'm not giving this up. So I got back off the horse and went over and I just went and friended every one of them and got all of them to be dogs. And so I started with 5 and got back with 4 of them. So I was like, okay, I'm glad that I got that many, because it's one of them fell off a cliff or something.
One died of dysentery on the voyage home.
I can't believe I've launched into a whole other tirade on Minecraft, dang it. Anyway, so yeah, I don't even remember what I was talking about, but my blog's back up.
You were talking about the party.
Watch that space. Oh yeah, the party.
The
we did
Minecraft
Minecraft
party.
stuff for his party, and
You can do a blog about Minecraft.
Yeah, could do. I
Build
could
a
do blog.
TARDIS in
Maybe,
Minecraft.
Well,
and
I
blog about
have
it.
tried to do the TARDIS in Minecraft.
I've seen videos.
And it just doesn't come out right. It just doesn't work. And the one idea that I saw, there's a guy that the kids watch, and actually, I'll be the first to admit I watch his videos now too, because he's really entertaining. His name is Stampy Longnose. If you're a Minecraft
I think you've talked
fan,
about him before.
If you're a
You mentioned
Minecraft
him
fan
before.
and you like Minecraft and you like to see something, he's crafted this entire huge world that is just a lot of fun to watch. And every week he does a different thing, and he adds a ride to his theme park. And so he has this theme park, which you might think is kind of interesting to watch the videos to watch him build this theme park.
Yeah, I would totally watch him build a theme park.
And they're like, most of them aren't rides, most of them are games. But the way they've come up with the clever idea of the games, the games he's come up with are incredible. But anyway, the coolest concept I ever saw for the TARDIS is, because you want to build it slightly to scale, and the only real color you can use is the dark blue wool. you build the wool. He built the wool up over it, and him and his girlfriend were doing this on one of his videos a long time ago. And what they did is, as soon as you go in the door, you drop, and you drop so quickly, and then you fall into water because you can't do a large drop without falling into water. You die. But they had it set so there was a tiny pool of water and a shaft, and he dropped down in it really quick. So it's almost instantaneous. I mean, it's just you see the drop, but then when you step out, then you're in the console room, and it's huge.
Oh,
and what they've done
cool.
is they've built it way underground so that it looks like you walk into the TARDIS, and then suddenly you're underground.
That's
and
a really clever way to do it.
That's a really cool way of doing it.
I thought, oh, that's great. But they didn't finish. Because he started working on his other world, and that kind of became the shtick of his show, because he releases a new one every week. And he got off on that whole creating what he calls his lovely world. And he got off on that, and so him and his girlfriend's stuff kind of fell to the wayside. So he never got to see the finished product. But
so they probably did finish it; they just didn't release it.
Yeah, maybe. And they did. They did a lot of glowstone work inside for the interior and the console. He did. He had levers on it and buttons. It's a lot of stuff that didn't do anything too, but it looked really cool. And I think they were going to build a piston underneath that would, and then underneath they put a mine cart on it. Mine carts, if you put them on power rails, they will activate things as they cross that certain rail, and so you can have it continually moving so that it's a continual motion machine. And they were going to put a piston in the middle with glowstone on it so that it would go up and down like the time rotor. So yeah,
that's cool.
I thought about going and doing that sort of thing, but my initial thought was I just want a TARDIS, I just want a police box out in the front yard. But every time I built it, it just doesn't quite right. It doesn't quite look right. So I
blame the graphics.
I'm still well. I'm still trying to formulate. I go online and look at some concepts of exteriors, and I haven't found one that I really like. So.
They're building...
Make it pink. Happiness Patrol.
Happiness Patrol. There's a group of them that are building... Within Minecraft, they're all getting together and utilizing different worlds and building Westerhouse from Game of Thrones. They've built the entire city. Is it no?
Westeros.
King's Landing. King's Landing, sorry.
Okay, because Westeros is the country.
Is the country. Yeah, they're building King's Landing.
Wow.
And so they've got the bridges and the castle and all of the shops and the alleyways. And, I mean, it's just everybody's contributing to this thing. Wow. And they said, literally, if you were to transport game-wise how much acreage in-game into the real world, it's about the size of San Francisco at this point.
Oh, wow.
That seems about right for King's Landing, actually.
So it's just about...
Is it on PC or is it on Xbox?
I don't know.
Because if it's on PC,
sure it's on PC.
I can probably download it and walk through the world and explore it. Yeah. That's the kind of the cool thing about playing on PC is all of that's out there available. So you can download new skins and you can download other people's maps and things like that and just walk around them yourself and add to them or take away. I mean, you can't obviously do anything to the...
it's not a Wikipedia. It's just on your computer.
It's just on my computer, but... That'd be kind of neat to
wow.
So
that's pretty impressive. I give a lot of props to the people being able to do that sort of thing in the game because I wouldn't be able to.
I give a lot of props to the people who think they have that much time on their hands.
Yeah,
well, and that much creativity to think,
they must all work state jobs. It's the only thing I can come out working on this at work.
Could be. I'm sure
they're not working retail jobs. I tell you that.
I'm sure I did more this week, but maybe I'll think about it as we go along here because I can't. Nothing else pops into my mind.
I'm sorry. We're talking about you had pig faces on the balloons.
That was virtually. We really kind of made
virtually.
Next week we'll use some of the other stuff that we couldn't use because that was another thing. It was very windy today, and so we didn't want to put a lot of the banners and things that we had made up in case they blew away or tore up. So. We'll use those for next, because he'll have a family party next week. We'll incorporate the Minecraft stuff in that as well.
Cool.
Yeah. He's way into Minecraft now. God, that kid is just insanely loves Minecraft. He went to a party yesterday of probably one of his best friends in school, and his party was Minecraft as well, so he was all excited about that as well. Although they went bowling. They didn't get as creative with the Minecraft stuff.
Square balls.
His cake, the kid's cake, was really, really well done. It was done by somebody here in town. I can't remember who they are, but it was done really nice. And then they had gift bags that had, creeper faces on them. So
cool.
Yeah. Anyway, now I've talked about another kid's birthday already. So move on. You guys go on.
I'll continue with the video game stuff. I've been playing a lot of Lego Marvel. Sucking my life away, man. Up to 70-some%.
Nice.
I've got most...
I can't wait to play video games again.
of the characters. now. I can't seem to find any more on the New York map. I think I have like 2 just hanging out there that I need to get. I've gotten all the levels done, all the free play done, and now I got 3 Deadpool bricks left.
And you're only at 70% with all that done?
Yeah. Because there's I'm 127 gold bricks. And there's like 200 and some gold bricks to get.
A lot of hub missions then, huh?
Yeah, a lot of mini hubs, a lot of races, which unfortunately...
I don't like the races on here either because the cars are so hard to get.
Yeah.
Flying
is hard to control too. It's just
I find the
difficult.
easiest one to fly is that Iron Man Mark 42,
Yeah.
is the easiest one to fly, but it's still difficult. So some of those
it's
races
still
are
tough.
even...
I'm hoping I'm trying to find where Silver Surfer is. Because I think he might be a little easier to control.
Oh, I hadn't thought of that. My least favorite one that I've just been beating myself up over is that on that one roof where you've got the
little car
remote control cars,
and you have to go over that ramp.
Oh my gosh!
I only tried it once.
Oh, I've done it like 17 times, and I stall out every time because I run into something and I want to be able to be behind the wheel. I can't be looking down on it and trying to steer because it just doesn't work.
Well, and there's some of them that are foot races too.
Yeah.
Have you done any of
the
those?
Foot races I don't have a problem with.
If you had the right character.
Yeah. I had a bunch of people unlocked before I started doing those.
Well, I did one and failed several times, and then had to switch characters in order to actually complete it, and it still took several tries.
There was one of them that I found that if I played with Magneto or Jean Grey, they have that float ability. They don't really fly.
They hover.
It's the nice thing because if you have to clear a small gap, you can hover them across. Whereas if you have Iron Man, you've got a small gap, you could probably parkour it or jump over to it.
Yeah.
But the problem is that you have this inkling to fly, and then he shoots past, and then you're out of your path.
Yeah.
So I found that those particular ones, if you use Jean Grey or Magneto, they have that hover ability, and you can get over those gaps and then drop back down and start running around.
I'll have to try that on some of them.
If you run across some of those that you have that problem. Oh, then there's that. Did you do that hunt and peck level where you had to go through the grates with Mr. Fantastic in order to get up that radio tower? And you figure out how to get inside there. Was it easy? Because I kept getting lost. I kept going through the same grates.
Freeze them.
I did. I finally figured that out.
I went through a couple and realized, it's just random. I'm just going to go freeze all but one.
And that's one of the things you have to do in one of the games. So you think in one of the levels, so you'd think I'd have thought of that. But I must have played that 7 times before I realized, I should just freeze this one so I don't come through it again.
I'm not looking. Have you done any of the J. Jonah Jameson ones, where you have to go talk to J. Jonah, then you have to go take a picture, and you have to go to wherever it is, halfway across New York.
Of course.
Switch to Spider-Man. Turn to Peter Parker. Take the picture and then go back.
I wondered why there was a Peter Parker feature on him.
That's
I knew there had to be a reason for that. Okay,
which is very obviously Andrew Garfield, Peter Parker, and it's
so very angsty.
There are some things that a
lot of his dialogue throughout it.
Just the hair.
Oh, that's true. His hair's kind of that.
And a lot of there's some glitches that annoy me. Some very long load times on characters. There was one point. I don't know.
I noticed that on one, and I think that's Peter. It's the one that takes forever to switch.
And some of them, I go to switch, and they do their transformation. I'm like, I don't just switch.
Man, I am turning Hulk into Bruce Banner all the time.
Well, did you get your achievement yet?
Yeah.
Okay.
I got that.
I was fine with it until I got the achievement, then it annoyed me. But Peter Parker was one of them. Spider-Man to Peter Parker. I could not just switch characters. I have to literally switch to the other character in order to change characters.
That's what I learned. That's the quick way to do it.
Yeah. And then there are some that I don't know what it was. I don't know if my PlayStation was just acting weird. I would switch to somebody. It would sit there for a really long time, and then it'd be just some kid. No matter who I chose, it was just some kid.
I didn't run across that.
It was the weirdest thing. It really got obnoxious.
Do you own this, or did you rent it?
I owned it. I own it.
You own it?
Yeah.
He said owned it.
I owned
Why'd
it.
you get rid of it? You're not done with it.
You owned it.
I owned it.
You're only 73%. Why'd you get rid of it?
Other than that, didn't do much else. Catan night again with the Yarn Barn group. Didn't win. Got third place that time. Yeah, but I got to teach. So that was kind of fun. And the guy I taught how to play won, so...
You didn't hear me.
I heard you. I just chose to ignore you.
chose to ignore you.
Those who can't do teach, yes.
Hey, and he won, so...
Yeah, there you go.
I like to think...
You're a good master.
I like to think that part of it was that I helped him more than I should have focused on my own playing.
Keith, you're a better sensei than you are a warrior.
I wouldn't be surprised. I still haven't won a game. Of all
That
of
doesn't surprise me.
Hey.
Now I got it.
I've won a lot on my phone. The only app I bought was the Catan app. And then Sarah and I got up early and went to a alpaca festival in Kansas City. It was kind of weird.
Okay. Walk me through an alpaca
Well, okay.
festival. I know it has to do with wool and knitting,
alpaca
but I
is
need
something...
a little more of a connector.
It's...
I know what an alpaca is.
Okay,
but
imagine
Were
like...
there llamas?
No,
No, they were alpacas.
alpacas. Little llamas.
Yeah.
Some are fluffy, and some have long hair. I didn't know that.
Different.
I've never seen
They're
one in
different
person.
species.
They're kind of weird looking, but kind of cute at the same time. It's
They're
bizarre.
puffy heads.
The puffy ones are really cute, and the
Yeah.
long ones kind of like... because some have like...
Well, the long
my
ones
hair.
look like llamas.
Well, they look like Rastafarian llamas. But there's vendors where you can buy yarn made from alpaca.
Where was this, Kansas City?
Kansas City. It was essentially their version of Expo Center. Like, there's a Lee Arena? No, Kemper. And then there's like this Expo Hall next door.
That's where the Royales held.
Yeah, it's
the American Royal.
The American Royal. Yeah, that's the building it was in. And then there was also like dog show type stuff with the alpacas. Like they're show animals and they're judged and ribboned.
I thought you meant there was a dog show going on as well.
No, it was a dog show.
Liking it like
A dog
so it was
show
an alpaca
competition.
show is what it was.
Yeah,
I got you.
alpaca competition.
All right, I got you.
Which that was
I was going, okay, the dog show thing, that really... I was getting the alpaca festival, and then suddenly through the dog show.
Well, it was... Okay,
Building is multitasking this weekend.
That's the part I didn't expect, was the competition aspect of it. Well, I expected the vendors of selling stuff. I didn't really expect all these animals and showing like a 4-H fair. It was... We spent like 45 minutes there. So then we had half-price books on the way back home.
The whole
45 minutes. We didn't know what
at
to
the alpaca
expect.
show.
Well, she probably went there for the wool aspect of it.
Yeah,
the yarn aspect.
and more just to scope it out, see what it's like. So that way we know next year if it shows up on our Facebook feed, then we don't need to go. But I didn't.
She could probably buy alpaca wool at her
yes, she can.
yarn barn. So it's always good to get some insight in the process, though. I suppose, especially when you're working.
And they showed every step of the process. They had people weaving, or not weaving,
just
spinning, and
weaving. Yeah, spinning. Yes.
Well, no, they were weaving too. Actually,
you got to spin it first, don't you?
Yeah, you have to spin it, and then weave it or knit it. Yeah, it's.
Hey, quit laughing, Amy. It's not for you.
I'm not, just the absurdity of this Doctor Who podcast that we've talked about ocelots and alpacas.
And,
that's how we got off on ocelots in the game. Forgot about that.
But I did pick up.
I missed the trail of breadcrumbs.
The Silent Stars Go By at Half Price Bookstore. $5.99.
Sweet.
Yeah,
I thought you read that. No, you read Touched by an Angel.
I read Touched by an Angel.
I have. I own it, but I have not yet
So
read
now
it.
two of us own it.
Well, let's go back. Change our votes on book club.
Well, that's not an
Because the
option.
Silent Stars Go By.
Well, I guess we can put it in.
Yeah, you can write in vote.
Yeah.
That will win. And then we'll get to do a book that none of us have read because I'm afraid at least one of us is going to get screwed here. Because you only got votes on there, or books on there of ones that we've read. And I can't tell you what's winning now, but I think it's one of mine.
I think the two that were in the lead were both yours.
Both were, yeah.
And then we stopped by Hastings. If you make it to Lawrence, I highly recommend. I don't know. You might be more interested in it than I or you. They have a box set for the 10th Doctor books.
Oh.
The sad thing is, there's one. I think it's like Sting and the Zygons, maybe. It's something Zygons, but it's really it's like a short, quick read. It would be like 2 pounds. So it's like maybe 50 pages, like an ebook, written by Terrence Dix.
Oh, wow.
But then there are
That's
three.
10th Doctor?
Yeah.
Oh.
And then there are 3 other, like, normal-sized books.
These are the hardcover
Well, they're
paperbacks.
the new thin paperbacks.
Oh,
the new
okay.
smaller
The new smaller
versions that they put
versions.
out.
Yeah, okay.
And then they also have a big old...
The reissue.
A new line of reissue books, too. So
Cool.
And then wandered around Mass Street a little bit and came home and had dinner. It was a good Sunday. Spaghetti, yes.
I saw pictures.
Yes.
Of it simmering on the stove. It made me want spaghetti.
Unfortunately, I didn't let it simmer long enough.
Oh.
Yeah. Did you ever make spaghetti from scratch?
You besmirched Aunt Mary's
I did
formula.
besmirch. I just didn't give it enough time.
I used to make them from scratch all the time until I realized you could buy it in a jar.
I still prefer it from scratch.
You know what I do? I prefer from scratch as well. But
when
you have a large family, and especially ones that don't eat, you don't have a lot of time, Keith.
Well, that's
true. But
scratch bean, can of paste, puree,
that's scratch
and water.
That's all you put in it?
Well, then seasoning.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah.
Because your spaghetti's really lame if you don't.
No. There's all sorts of seasoning.
But I've found, like, I don't like just ragu. I don't like just bertolli.
There's not the right flavors for me.
You got to mix the jar stuff together
until I get the right, and I have found the perfect flavors.
What is it?
And mine,
it's the home-style ragu. It's the tomato and basil bertolli. Bertolli? Am I saying that right? Bertolli. And I wish I could remember the brand of the other one. It's right there next to the bertolli. I want to say it's Mama something. But anyway, they've got and I get in trouble for using this because I get the mushroom one, but you can get it without mushroom. But there's something in mushroom that I add to it, and so nice.
All the pre-made sauces lack one thing for me, based off of my aunt's recipe.
Love.
That and Parmesan cheese. Having Parmesan cheese in the sauce.
Just add Parmesan cheese into it.
Because
I simmer mine on the stove too. I don't nuke it or
you
heat it.
You got to simmer.
You got to simmer because, especially if you add water to it, you got to, simmer some of that water out.
But you put the ragu in there, you hardly have to simmer it, or you hardly have to add water to
well,
it. That's the liquid.
There for a while,
thick it all.
Walmart didn't carry puree, so I had to get sauce, which is essentially puree watered down.
Right.
So then I didn't add water then.
Right.
Except for the paste aspect.
Yeah, we experiment every time. We were just, what are we doing today? The chunky veggie mushroom and 4 cheese. All right, we'll do that. What are we getting this time?
See, I'm not a big fan of chunks in my spaghetti sauce. I'm just weird like that.
You're just weird.
The tomato basil isn't too bad. It's got a few tomato chunks, but that's it.
I suppose you could blend it before you. But
I've experimented several times with using fresh garlic in mine too, and those turned out pretty good.
Well, see, if I make it homemade, I always use the fresh garlic.
See, I just use garlic powder.
I don't like to sprinkle garlic in there.
I also add the Italian seasonings and.
See, I'll use all the other sprinkle seasoning, but garlic, it's got to be pure garlic. The powder does not do it. For me.
I put that on the toast.
I do put powder on garlic toast.
Oh yeah, you got to melt that in the butter.
Yeah.
If you don't buy the Texas toast
just
version.
Don't put garlic salt in the butter. Put garlic powder. Because we put salt in there one time. Oh my! I didn't realize it, and oh my gosh, it was so super salty.
Because the butter is already salty.
Exactly. Yeah, so it just added to that.
That's all I did though.
Sean, what did you do this week? So what are we've gone off on Minecraft. We've gone off on alpacas. We've gone off on
spaghetti sauce.
What else can we tangent on this week? Maybe we'll add some recipes to the show.
You should totally do that. Traveling the
Alpaca
Vortex
recipes.
cookbook.
We could.
Tastes like chicken.
Tastes like llama.
Hooray! I'm a llama again. Oh wait. I worked a lot. I went to school a lot. Finished.
You're like a broken record.
It's a broken record. We finished shooting our short film for class.
Oh! I'm glad you added our short film.
Our short film for class. So that part's done. Now it's just we've got a whole bunch of green screen work that needs to be done now.
Then you painted it.
Yeah. You want to talk about a comedy of errors? That stupid thing.
Painting the green screen?
It was fun. It was just us and
the one color.
Two of us and the prof. Just me and Matt and Sharafe. And down there, and so we were making all kinds of jokes about, did you want us to bring paint? He goes, no, I'll supply the paint. And I started laughing because I could see all of us coming up with a different color of green.
Well, there's actually a chroma
yeah, it's chroma green,
yeah.
But We wouldn't do that.
This looked like chroma key.
I don't know. Under the light,
It looked like this. It has to be the 3 colors you come with. And go, that's not going to work.
Little patches.
And then
mix them all together.
With that one, just to be mad, just to be mean.
But
oh, I thought we were doing blue.
we got that done, and right about the, so there's 2 rollers. So Sharafi's got a roller, and I've got a roller, and then there's a brush, for the fine detail work around the corners and stuff. We accidentally got paint on one of the other walls, so we just went ahead and painted it too.
So it's not a green screen; it's a green corner.
Well, they had one of these, and then there was a cinder block wall here on this end. Well, we painted that too. And then I was like, "Do you want the floor done too?" He goes, "No, we've got paper we can lay down for that." I was like, "You sure? Because we're here. We've got the paint. We could just go ahead and do the." He said, "No, they wouldn't let me." Oh. Apparently he tried. He had all kinds. Sharafi designed the art building on campus, and he had all kinds of requirements for what he wanted, and they wouldn't give him hardly any of it. He wanted an extra story.
I think you could paint the floor. Nobody would ever.
He wanted a green screen wall outside because he thinks outdoor light works better. But he wanted to be able to throw students off the roof into a so that they could shoot. And they looked at him like,
"Yeah, I remember you told me
what?
That.
Yeah,
4 weeks ago.
They wouldn't let him have a pyro room. They were going to do pyrotechnics and stuff for the special effects. They wouldn't let him have that. So he's like, they apparently took the dimmer. He had everything set and ready to go for this green screen wall with these big fluorescent lights, and there was a dimmer switch on them so you could adjust it. They took the dimmer switches out, so it's on or off. It's like, are you kidding me? He says, yeah, I know. It's just.
We could probably just gel the lights.
So we're sitting there. We're sitting there. So Sharafi's got the thing on one end, and I've got the roll on the other. And Matt, we switch off. So Matt hands me the roll, and so I'm rolling. And he's sitting down, and Sharafi turns around and goes, "What? Do you want a break or something? What is your deal?" And I said, "Well, yeah, I just gave him the ring." There's another roller over there. Now he says this at the 3-hour mark when we're almost done. We've been sharing this one roller back and forth between the two of us. I was like, "Are you kidding me?" There was another, and he looked at me and says, "Matt, you carried all this stuff up. You did. There was a whole thing of rollers here." And Matt went and looked. And he goes, "Huh? I carried it. I didn't look at it." So that was he went to move something. Sharafi picked up this big. It was the portable green screen board that you could take outside. He picked it up and he started angling around. And as he twisted like this, I heard, boom, and I turned. He put a big old hole in the wall. I was like, "Dude, what are you doing?" He goes, "What?" I said, "Look at the." And he looked down. And he goes, "Oh." And you have to know Sharafi. He's Indian, so he's got the funny little accent from the guy on The Simpsons. What's his name?
I don't find them funny, but
he sounds funny. Listening to him talk, yeah, he sounds like a poo. It's just, and I have to stifle a giggle every time he launches into a story in class because it's like, it's disrespectful, I know, but he's funny. So then he had to go and buy patch and paint. We painted over it. And it's like, for an A, I won't mention this in the classroom. But we got done filming was the important part of that story. So I still have a personal project that I have to do in front of the green screen, but I don't know what I want to do yet. So, but the short film part of it's all done, except for the editing. And then Saturday, I actually worked Saturday morning, which was a little weird because normally I don't. I close a lot. So we had a movie night, and we watched because we had Katrina, so we had to watch kids movies. But we watched Hotel Transylvania.
Had you seen that before?
I had not seen it before.
How was it?
It was cute.
The Adam Sandler one, right?
Yeah, and so Katrina picked it out. I brought up a selection, had some Disney and some. She picks the Adam Sandler vampire movie. I was like, okay. And I was like, "Well, do you not want to watch it?" I was like, "No, it was the one I was kind of like least wanting to watch." But I'm not. It's Katrina. I'm gonna let her pick.
Never bring the ones up you don't want to watch.
I know.
John.
I should have known better. But it was actually really cute. And I thought it was going to be horrible and Adam Sandler-y, and it wasn't. Well, it was actually really. It was much much better than I expected.
His other animated films I enjoyed.
I've heard a lot of good things about Transylvania.
You especially would enjoy it being a monster guru because they treat the subject matter very well.
Like
yeah.
Good.
Now
that was my biggest concern.
They don't explain why Dracula has a daughter, but they do make a Twilight joke. So it's like, okay, so, I could give it. And then we watched Ponyo, the Studio Ghibli.
She picked that one too?
Yes, she did. The Studio Ghibli
Eclectic Tastes.
Little Mermaid one. And we really, really, really liked it. It's not Howl's Moving Castle, which so far is far and away my absolute... But it has that kind of same sense of whimsical nonsense.
None of them will be, I'll warn you, but none of them will be as good as Howl's.
I kind of feel like we've peaked. It's like, well, okay, let's watch another Studio Ghibli.
But they're all good.
Oh yeah, they're all enjoyable. And this one's you can kind of get the Hans Christian Andersen Little Mermaid references to it. But Liam Neeson plays her father, the Lord of the Sea or whatever he is, and he's this crazy David Bowie looking guy. Well, in the American dub. I'm sure.
I should say English dub.
I'm
sure they got that in the UK too.
I'm sure it wasn't Liam Neeson in the original Japanese release.
He's a very talented man. I don't think he speaks Japanese.
I'm pretty sure he doesn't. But if you come for his family, he will find you. Yeah, so it was kind of a fun night. We were going to, we watched Legion earlier this week too.
That Angel movie?
The Angel movie.
How was that?
Again,
that was the one with the crazy grandma in it also?
Yeah.
Okay.
Again,
that's the one thing I remember from the trailer.
Better than I expected.
Paul Bettany, right?
Paul Bettany plays Michael, the angel, and Dennis Quaid. And
I'm encouraged to hear it's better than you expected because it's gotten panned.
Yeah, I don't understand the panning of it, but I will say this: it came across as kind of a much slicker special effect version of Tales from the Crypt Demon Knight, but not done as well. So if you saw Tales from the Crypt Demon Knight, I think Demon Knight's a better movie than this one. They're very, very similar. It really reminded me of it. But the special effects in this one are much better, obviously, because it's, years down the road. But and then we found out Mel had never seen Demon Knight, so I was like, okay, well, that's next on the list. Got to find a copy of that.
See, was that the first one or that was the second?
The first one.
Oh, it was. Okay, then I liked Demon Knight. I didn't.
Yeah, you liked Demon Knight. You did not like Bordello of Blood.
No. Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
Demon Knight was the one with Dennis.
No. Dennis Miller's in Bordello of Blood.
Oh, see, then I liked Bordello of Blood. I didn't like the Billy Zane, Billy Zane.
Yeah,
one.
Billy Zane.
I didn't like the Billy Zane.
Okay, so you were the only person on the face of the planet that liked Bordello of Blood.
I thought Bordello of Blood was pretty decent. I didn't like.
You were the only person on the planet who liked Bordello of Blood.
Probably, I don't know.
Even the HBO execs did not like it. Even Dennis Miller disowns it. And he was in it. Yeah. But Demon Knight's good. Well, you'd probably love Legion. We own it if you'd like to borrow it.
No, but I didn't like Demon Knight. I liked Bordello.
Yes, I know, but that's what I'm saying.
It's a lesser.
I see.
It's a lesser done version of Demon Knight. I thought Demon Knight was
So
done.
then I probably won't like Legion.
Yeah, you probably will like Legion because you didn't like Demon Knight. You'll probably come back and go, Legion was 10 times better. I don't know why you're getting off saying.
It depends on why you didn't like Demon Knight.
I see.
Now, this is opposite day, Glenn.
I'll tell you, it's been so many years since I've seen either of those.
Yeah, I'd like to give a shout out to Helix because that season wrapped. That is one insane show.
Oh, is it?
Bat crap. But so much fun. I enjoyed every second watching that show.
Crap, but so much fun. I don't.
This is the Ron Moore.
Yeah, the
Swifty
Billy
one.
Connolly. Yeah, Billy Connolly, right? No,
Billy Connolly.
Billy Campbell.
Billy Campbell. Oh, Rocketeer.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, Billy Connolly would have been so much better than Except for it's crazy to see him in anything serious anymore, like X-Files and stuff like that. I'm like, who is this guy?
This is the dad in Boondock Saints.
this isn't the Billy Connolly I know.
Fido?
I did see Fido. Oh my god!
I did not like Fido.
See, he didn't like Fido.
I didn't like Fido either.
I thought you wouldn't like Fido.
Liked zombie films.
I like zombie films, and I wasn't a big fan of Fido.
I liked Fido.
I didn't. I guess I didn't think there was enough laughs.
I
think I expected it to be more comedy.
It needed
It's
to
very
be.
dry.
It's
It's a very dry comedy.
It's like they took a really dark comedy and said, we really need to inject more heart into it. And I was like, no, you didn't. Not because of what it is. You don't need any warm fuzzies.
And I'm the one that owns zombie strippers, so
I still haven't seen Zombie Syndrome.
Oh, we got
so ridiculous.
I don't want to borrow it either. So
Nazi zombies on the moon or something.
Oh.
I thought of you.
So, I still haven't seen Dead Snow. Russian zombies.
we should move on to news.
But I recommend Helix if you like kind of zany.
You can't.
Describe zany now. Is it like funny or is it?
No, it's just
so bizarre.
It's bizarre. It's just really bizarre. I apologize, listeners, for my sniffling. My allergies are bothering me tonight.
Keith is one big ball of allergy tonight.
Yeah, it's not fun.
That was tissue, too.
Okay. It's Outbreak meets Venom meets Venom the Spider-Man character, because it's all like black oozy stuff, meets zombie. And then it turns into a corporate espionage story. And it's getting a second season, and I kind of wish they had only done one season, but I'm intrigued to see where it goes. It's
what channel is it on?
Sci-fi.
That's why it got a second season.
Because they're desperate.
It's just got to be slightly intriguing, and they'll put it on for a second.
And from what I understand, it got good ratings.
Hey,
so
you know what else got a second
received.
season? Sharknado.
Well, Sharknado got a sequel, yeah.
Filming in New York.
I mentioned the first episode, and there was
the
this
of Sharktopus and Sharknado.
And Mega Shark versus whatever that was.
He was going to go into it. Don't into it.
No, I was going.
We got to move this along. We're almost an hour in, and we're not even done talking about what we did this week.
The show starts with this insane violence of this zombie-like creature to "Do You Know the Way to Barcelona?" or that song. You know what song I'm talking about? Do you know the San Jose?
San Jose. Yeah, that one I know.
It's that song.
Barcelona.
Do you know the way to San
And it's this insane violence. It's really it sets the tone for the entire And it's this unsettling images of these zombie-like creatures attacking people, and it's
okay.
it's bizarre but really enjoyable.
Wow.
Ron Moore. Okay. I like Ron Moore's stuff. I mean, he was the best part of Next Gen and the new Battlestar Galactica reboot. And
well, I don't know how much. I know he executive produced it. I haven't looked too closely at how much hand he had in it. So it at least has his stamp of approval, at the very least.
Yeah.
But I'm beginning to discover I love really wacky stuff. Like
just now,
it's starting to dawn on me when I was talking to someone about Under the Dome. And when things went really insane is when I really started liking it. How far did you get on that?
I don't know, 6 or 7.
Yeah, it was like that, around that point where it starts going kind of off the deep end was when I really started liking it.
It was about the time they announced that there was going to be a second season of that I gave up, because it was like, okay, you've lost me. The book was so good. I don't see where you're going to go. You're under a dome. There's no season 2.
See, I was glad they were shifting away from the standard Under the Dome stories, though. We're running out of supplies. I get bored of those.
Well, yeah, but I'm more concerned about the fact there was a fire. And, you ate up oxygen, and it smudged the inside. So now everything's... You realize how much pollution, because everybody's running their generators, because we got to have our iPods on. And you don't care.
Nope, not the least bit, but that's okay. There's probably some listeners that do.
The book was so good.
I want to read the book.
Oh, the book is so good.
Part of my apprehension is the length.
It trucks.
Does it?
It, unlike the show,
well,
which decided
the
show decided to stop and sniff at every daisy along that fence line. But the for being because I love Stephen King when he gets into his I'm just going to write, and King admits I like big books with a lot of characters. Here you go. And I was a little worried about it. And man, from page 1, it just ran through 1,800 pages.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'll have to give it a shot. Once I finish the Game of Thrones books.
But that was back when I could still leisurely read, And I finished it like in 2 weeks.
Well, that's not bad.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Let's move on.
That's promising. I think we've been putting off news because we're starting with some depressing stuff.
Yeah, it is depressing.
Yeah, it is depressing.
Unfortunately, we've lost a couple of Who people. Most recently, Kate O'Mara passed away at the age of 74.
It was kind of surreal because we haven't had anything to review for the last 2 weeks, really. I mean, we did Planet Comic-Con 2 weeks ago. Last week we had our fan show. So I really haven't... I've had this free time. And so in my free time, I've been catching up on podcasts. And it was just so bizarre because I got up to... on the Memory Cheats, which is a wonderful podcast. I recommend it to anybody that likes short, concise podcasts. And the two guys on there.
So none of our listeners.
Yeah. A lot. So, yeah, if you're listening to this one, you probably don't like short and concise.
Get something short in between our episodes.
But, yeah, last night, I fired up, they reviewed Time of the Ronnie. No, it wasn't Time. It was Mark of the Ronnie.
And that's the podcast where they don't rewatch it. They just
talk
about it from
memory. Completely from
the memory cheats. Interesting.
And so
I really should listen to more of these podcasts. I feel so left out.
And so that was the one that they talked about and reviewed it and gave their impressions on it. And it wasn't like less than 15 hours later, I woke up today and I saw the news about Kate O'Mara, and I was like, oh my gosh, that's just so weird.
She was supposed to have been at Galley.
Yeah,
she was going to be a
This
guest at this Galley, and
this one coming up.
No, the one that just the last one that just happened.
That's why we did Time of the Rhine.
Yeah,
or Mark of the Rhine. That's where
because it was going to be her and
Colin and Perry.
And then because it was odd that both she and initially Mel were going to be there as well.
Yeah.
And then I don't remember who dropped first.
I think Mel dropped first.
And then she dropped out shortly after that. I never heard why, other than she can't make it. So it's like, oh, well, okay. I hope again that it wasn't
might have been
health related. But
looks like there's been a large tribute on Twitter from people like Colin Baker, Bonnie Langford, Nicola Bryant. She passed away at a nursing home following a short illness. And here, I wonder. I have a feeling she probably knew this was coming, because on March 17th, the last tweet she posted was, "Thank you so much for your kind tweets. It's both humbling and completely overwhelming to read all your messages. Much love."
Wow.
X.
It was one of those things when I heard it today. I thought I really want to go watch one of her Doctor Who's, because I don't remember what I reviewed, but I think I've always come down on good on Mark of the Ronnie. On Mark of the Ronnie, I think I enjoyed that one.
You did enjoy that one.
So that was my first thought. So I really want to watch Mark of the Ronnie. Well, I don't have it. So I thought, well, okay, I could watch Time of the Ronnie. I'm not as favorable about that, but it's got some good points, and I love her. I think she's great in it. I think Ronnie's always great in anything she's done, or Kate O'Mara's ever great in both of those roles that she's done. And I went, I don't have that one. And then I thought, well, I've got a bootleg copy of Dimensions in Time. That could be the best I can do, but that thing's such a piece of... But I didn't go there. But I really...
aren't on Hulu?
I don't believe they are yet. I didn't think about going to Hulu. They might be on.
You could have called me. I owned both of those.
And that was just it. I would have had to watch it in between getting ready for Party, and so it didn't finally come down to pan out with time. But that was my first inclination, was when I heard the news. I really want to go watch her. I really want to go see something that she's done, because I remember enjoying her so much in that character. And
of course, I bet if you watch Time now that you've met Sylvester, you'd probably have a better...
No, I don't know that that's true with that one. But that's the thing, though, is in the back of my mind, I think I've always thought... I haven't revisited those recently, because I've always thought, Anthony Ainley's gone. All of these actors, Sarah Jane's gone, but she had her chance, and she came back. She did Doctor Who, and she did her own.
I think that's the saddest thing.
Even though we didn't get the brig in Doctor Who proper, we did get to revisit the brig in Sarah Jane Smith. I just expected the Ronnie to be. I expected Kate O'Mara to come back and be the Ronnie in the New Who, and I thought there's still that chance, and then that's gone now. It just feels like it's ripped away from me, and so it's kind of. That's made it a little harder, because I don't know this actress in anything else that she's done besides Doctor Who, but I really feel this connection to the actress herself, and I feel like it was like this huge hole today when the news came down, because I thought there's nothing now that I can see her again. I can go back and enjoy the things she's already done, but I really looked forward to the possibility of her being...
Well, especially with the hope of the Time Lords coming back.
Of all of the characters that could come back... For whatever reason, when we've discussed it, that the Ronnie should come back, I never
recast.
I never recast her.
Yeah, me neither.
Yeah. I think
absolutely not.
I mean, the Master, I can recast the Master at whim, but the Ronnie, no, it's Kate O'Mara. It's got to be Kate O'Mara. I mean, now obviously they could recast her.
Sure,
She's a time lady. She could regenerate.
We still could get the Ronnie,
and we could still get the Ronnie. But I just assumed it would be Kate O'Mara. And putting her against Peter Capaldi.
Oh,
that would have been great.
Yeah.
Mark is on Hulu.
It is on Hulu. Okay. Well, that would have been my preference to see anyway. So
the Sylvester one is not.
I did not think about going to
Hulu.
Unfortunately, we also lost someone else earlier in the week. Derek Martinus. I hope I'm saying his name correctly. Died at the age of 82.
Who was Derek?
He directed Galaxy 4. Mission to the Unknown. 10th Planet was his big tentpole one. Evil of the Daleks, The Ice Warriors, and Spearhead from Space.
Oh.
About half of those are available.
Yeah, unfortunately.
unfortunate that half are not available.
Yes.
Not unfortunate that half are available.
Well, yeah, that's what
Just to clarify.
Look at it both ways. Unfortunately, only half of those are available.
No, just the way it came out is, unfortunately, they're available.
Well, yeah, but I said only half of those, and he was springboarding on that. So
Yes, I understand where he was going from. And I'm sure our listeners did too. I just wanted to clarify.
Apparently, he suffered from Alzheimer's for many years.
Oh, I hate to hear that.
Yeah.
Oh. Speaking of Alzheimer's, I finished Behind the Sofa.
Oh, you're the
talk
book
about that. Alzheimer's reminded me of that, which...
Oh, because the money
I'm
goes
glad you
to-
brought it up, because 100% of the profits from this book go to Alzheimer's and dementia research in the UK. And I highly recommend you buy it, because I'm going to do a real quick short review here, because we're talking a little bit about Alzheimer's here. There are people in the book that a couple at least, that kind of refer to their experiences with Alzheimer's. In fact, one person I think that wrote one of the entries is diagnosed with Alzheimer's. But that's not what the book's about. It's celebrity re-encountering their favorite moments or their first time with Doctor Who, and there's probably most of the celebrities in there I'm not familiar with, because they're UK presenters or DJs or whatnot, but they all have such wonderful stories, and there's a handful of them in there that I do recognize. I think Perry, I can't think.
Nicola Bryant.
Nicola Bryant was one. There's several.
Toby
actresses.
Hajduk, I think, was in there.
Toby Hajduk is in there.
The ever popular Michael Grade.
Michael Grade is in there, which was interesting, and that's a neat take, because he talks about killing Doctor Who, but he talks about his appreciation for the new series and that it's back and that it's done right now. So,
And then tried to take credit for it.
I completely.
If I hadn't killed it, it wouldn't come back as strong as it is.
He does a little tongue in cheek, but. I
hope it's tongue in cheek.
I thoroughly enjoy it, and it goes to a good cause, and they've collected a lot of great memoirs, and it's a lot of fun to read.
I'm glad you enjoyed that.
It's a quick read. Yeah, thank you very much, because that was a Christmas present from you guys. And it's quick. It's just like 200 pages. And so, yeah, I knocked it off in it took me a little longer than a week, or about a week, because I was only didn't get a lot of time to read. But you could easily get through it in a few days. So.
Yeah.
But I highly recommend it. It's an enjoyable read, and go out there. It was another thing I did this week, and the Alzheimer's. It's for a good cause, and that's what reminded me of that.
Going back to a previous conversation, speaking of characters returning, Adric is returning in Big Finish.
Oh. Again, or is this still the first time they talked about it?
This is the first time.
Because I thought they had made an announcement that Adric was coming back with Tegan and Nyssa and Fifth Doctor, Peter Davison.
It was floated out there a few months ago. Big Finish finally made the announcement this week.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was a done deal.
It'll be out in August.
I think Matthew Waterhouse talked about it at Gallifrey. Might be where you got it from.
No, I heard
and maybe we're just now getting the titles of the episodes, which are Psychodrome and Iterations of I, or One. I can't tell which.
And he'll come back to play Adric, is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
From my understanding.
Because it's interesting, because they've had a story with Adric recently. Not recently, but in the line that they were doing. And another actor played him because they couldn't get Matthew Waterhouse back to do it.
Oh, interesting.
So, yeah, and I heard it's a really creepy story that it is done relatively well. I can't remember the title of it right now, but...
is that The Boy That Time Forgot?
I think that's it. And I've heard that it's actually pretty good, and I think it's a Peter Davison story, and it's our Fifth Doctor story, and I was really intrigued. So it'll be interesting what they do with the character now in this way.
It'll be a 5-disc box set you can get, which will include an hour-long documentary with interviews with the cast in which Waterhouse talks about why he decided to return to Doctor Who. So that could be interesting.
That could be interesting.
Yeah.
Other merchandise coming out, something I will probably pick up.
Must be Cybermen related.
It is. The Essential Doctor Who launches with new Cybermen by original designer Alexandra Tynan. So this is kind of following on the heels of the 2013 50th anniversary special Panini's bookazines. So it's like big, thick magazines.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Like 120-some pages, you said?
Yeah.
116
pages, featuring details of every Cyberman episode. There are exclusive new interviews with scriptwriters Neil Gaiman, Gareth Roberts, Mark Platt, and others. It also includes archive interviews with Kip Pedler and Gary Davis.
Who created the Cybermen?
Yes.
We got anything from David Banks?
Early, in 120 pages or something. With this.
There better be.
I'm sure they talked to him about it. There's also...
Because it's not the complete guide if he ain't in there.
Features comics, novels, short stories.
Novels or novellas?
Well, just includes archive interviews with Kit Pedler and Jerry Davis, who created the Cybermen, as well as features on it's features on comics, novels, audio stories, and Davies' unmade serial Genesis of the Cybermen.
Yeah, that'll be interesting to read about.
It was called Spare Parts. We already did that.
Apparently, it's already on sale in the UK, so hopefully it will be coming over here very soon.
Yeah, it might be difficult to get it over in the States. But
Barnes & Noble, maybe.
I'll have to go check that out.
I think it's £10 UK, so it's probably £20 in the US, roughly.
$20?
$14.95.
Or $20. Is it $14.95 in the UK?
I don't know.
Okay. Well,
no, it's $9.99.
Okay, that's what I thought. It's £10 in the UK, so it's roughly $20 in the US. It also constitutes an import, so it might be a few more dollars than that. So.
$14.95.
It always takes a little longer for the imports to come in, too.
$14.95.
I'm keeping it to that.
Okay.
That's what I'm buying it at CD Trade Post when you order a copy from me then.
Sure.
Good.
Good luck finding it at CD Trade Post.
Or not CD Trade Post. Where do you work now? Vintage Stock. Sorry. He's worked at every video store. I'm surprised I didn't say Blockbuster. Or Duncan the Movie Manager.
Or
Hollywood. Or,
the last bit of news.
Family Video.
Or Suncoast. No, I worked there too.
Oh, you did? That's right. You had a short stint, Family Video.
There's some we missed back in December,
because
apparently.
you felt like you hadn't worked at all of it yet.
Well, Pop and Go closed before I could get over there. Video Trend went out of business and became a tanning bed place.
What was the other one we had? Video Trend, Uptown.
Uptown. Never got to work at Uptown. Sorry, go ahead, Keith.
The last bit of news is something we kind of missed from December.
It's kind of old news, but
I stumbled across it in the wild, so that's why.
In the wild. Were you hunting ocelots?
Yeah, he trained it to become a house cat.
Yeah. There's a new they along with the 50th books that they did reissues. They did a bunch of reissues I guess in December, focused around monsters. So there's a series of books. Corpse Maker by Chris Boucher.
Marker.
Chris Marker. Yeah, Corpse Marker.
Corpse Marker.
Corpse Marker.
I liked Corpse Maker as a title much better, but
featuring the Fourth Doctor and Leela, and it has a Voss robot on the cover. So reading the synopses, I don't know, there's robots in it, so I can only assume it's those ones. Shakedown by Terrence Dix.
This is some Torrent story.
Featuring Sylvester McCoy, Seventh Doctor. Sting of the Zygons.
10th Doctor story then? No.
Yes, this is a 10th Doctor story in
Martha.
That's
the one that you said was in the book.
Yeah,
well, I don't know if
in the box.
This is a different one. Because this is written by Stephen Cole. Maybe that book is in the box set, but it's not the short Terrence Dix one.
Oh, okay. All right.
Huh.
Prisoner of the Daleks by Trevor Baxendale. Another 10th Doctor story. The Scales of Injustice, which has a Silurian on the cover.
Wow. I wouldn't have guessed that was Scales of Injustice.
Should have been America.
Written by Gary Russell, featuring the Third Doctor and Liz Shaw.
Oh.
What was that one?
Third Doctor.
Third Doctor and Liz Shaw.
What was the name of that one?
Scales of Injustice.
Oh, Scales is with the... Okay.
Illegal Alien. Sorry, I'm fighting back a sneeze. Illegal Alien by Mike Tucker and Robert Perry. Sylvester McCoy and Ace story featuring the Cybermen.
I bet that's 7th Doctor and Ace. I bet Sylvester McCoy's not actually in the movie.
Yeah. You know what I mean?
Kind of cool, but...
He might be. Touched by an Angel by Jonathan Morris, which I've reviewed.
Touched by an Angel.
Featuring the 11th Doctor, Amy and Rory. And then finally, The Sands of Time by Justin Richards, which has a mummy from Pyramids of Mars on the cover.
The mummy robot.
Oh.
And it's a fifth Doctor.
Sutek might be in it as
it's
well?
a 5th Doctor story with Nyssa and Tegan.
So exciting. It's released in the vein of the 50th anniversary books that they did with each Doctor.
So they all kind of match, too.
Although they'd be out of order, out of sequence on my bookshelf. But oh well.
From what I saw, it's not a full box like the 50th had also. So.
Well, these are good titles, too. Matt pointed out that he thinks that the Doctor Who production office back in the day, that they must have just had a couple of dartboards, and this one's all nouns and this one's all verbs, because it's terror of the Zygons and nightmare of Eden, and you just throw the thing at them. So sands of time.
They're good old-fashioned Doctor Who titles.
I like those titles much better than things like Let's Kill Hitler. I'm sorry. I know Moffat was all excited about the slutty titles, but...
Dinosaurs on a space.
None of those are new. Those are all reprints.
Oh, yeah. These are all reprints.
I saw that giant Cyberman head pop up on your screen, and I totally thought they did Cyberman Bob. I was going to get mad.
Well, you never know.
All right, let's move on to feedback.
First, before we move on to feedback, we wanted to give a shout-out that we're, I think at least Glenn and I don't know about Sean if he has time, are going to be taking part in Brittany's next photo challenge.
Yes. Oh, what's the photo challenge?
The favorites of Doctor Who photo challenge. So she's got a list on her blog, which we will link in our show notes.
Make sure you make a note of that week, Glenn.
If I don't do it, you'll do it behind me. You did last week.
No, I didn't.
Oh, it must have been Keith.
Must have been Keith.
Yeah, I did.
Because you didn't do it.
I got 2 out of 4.
Yeah.
You have notes.
I know. I don't know.
What do we take show notes for if you're not going to use them?
Oh, I already put that in the show notes. I put that in before the show. Okay.
Well, put it in twice so you make sure to do it.
I'll get it. It's first thing. I must have been below where I was reading last week.
But so she's got a great list of 30 different pictures, including things like opening titles, something a little targeted at Glenn, favorite anthropomorphized alien, favorite showrunner, favorite generation scene, so great stuff like that. So that will start on April 1st.
Favorite anthropomorphized alien is an oxymoron. There are no favorite anthropomorphized aliens.
It's going to be a tough one for you, isn't it?
I'll just have to do my least.
Your least
bothersome.
Least bothersome.
And then some feedback from Facebook. Rachel pointed out to us, listening to last week's show, she wanted to give Glenn and everyone else know that Chicago TARDIS does have an attendance cap of 2,000 per day.
So it's a smaller. Well, it's 3,200 over 3 days for galley, right?
Yes.
And it's
but you buy,
2,000.
there is no individual day ticket,
right.
so you're there for the whole weekend.
So it's 3,200 over 3 days, and then
Chicago TARDIS
is 2,200 each day, so that's still 6,000. So it's a better chance of getting at least a day.
Yeah, that's true, because it's per day versus. Yeah, I got you.
Yep.
She says she's still on the fence about announcing about going herself this year. She's tired, trying to hold off until they announce some guests.
Yeah, that certainly makes sense, Rachel, because I would do the same thing. But it's looking more favorable for me to go to Chicago TARDIS now than I think I'm probably going to even skip the October transfers and just plan for Chicago TARDIS.
I think the membership cap is new this year. I don't think they did it last year.
The 2,200?
Yeah. Or 200. 2,000, sorry.
Oh, I thought you said 22.
I think hers
2,000. Okay.
2,000. I think hers might have said 22, but I think it's 2,000. The website I went to, it's 2,000.
Well, either way, they're not sold out yet. So
the only ones, all access ones, are sold out. I don't know what that is. It's probably the highest tier.
I think there's a dinner and things like that too.
Yeah,
so.
that's the only thing that's sold out so far.
Okay, well, exciting. All right, well,
now feedback.
Up first is
Mark. Mark writes, comment question. Having taken a hiatus from listening to Doctor Who podcasts, I thought I would dip my toe in the waters again. I was always in envy of not being able to make it to Friday Night Who. The time difference seems to get in the way. But I am so glad there is now a group on Goodreads. So that's what you all look like. While listening to your show, I have a habit of going off on a tangent with my thought process. Seems only fitting, Mark. This week's tangent was started by you mentioning 9 not attending cons. I got to thinking, is there anyone in Who fandom who will openly admit to 9 being their doctor?
Oh, I think there's a lot of people.
There's quite a few.
I think some of our listeners have already admitted that.
Do you know anyone who makes this claim?
I know Brittany 9 is Brittany's doctor, and in fact she brought that up in something that I think she started a Facebook group called the Whovian Gang, And I think she mentioned that in one of her posts that
Nine's her
is
doctor, but 3 is her favorite.
Right. So, I mean, if that counts, then that's certainly true. And I think a number of our listeners would consider 9 their doctor and probably would attend a convention to see 9. I mean, I certainly would, even though he's made me mad in things that he's done, I would still see him in a convention. I'd still attempt to go to a convention to see him. I wouldn't pay $100 for his autograph. But, I'm not going to go there again this week. But so I think there's, not to mention Chris. I mean, he's got such a crossover heroes, Thor: Dark World,
Getting him to a con would
28 days later,
28 Days Later, and G.I. Joe, and he's had enough things that he's really. I mean,
Lennon naked.
Yeah, which I would go more for so than some other things he's been in. But
like G.I. Joe.
Gone in 60 seconds.
He was fine in G.I.
Was he in that?
He's the coffin maker.
It's been so long since I've seen that. I don't remember it very
He had
well.
hair.
That's bizarre. Mark continues. Having come back to you after months, I was excited to hear a female voice and opinion. I don't know if Mel's a regular, got some catching up to do, but I hope we hear more from her.
A female
Thanks.
voice and opinion.
Yeah.
Is that what I said?
You said male.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, I think you mumbled it.
Blame the drugs.
Yeah. I think you intended to.
I knew where you're going with it.
Mel has joined us. She's joined us on a few shows, though, when you, especially
Typically
Galley.
convention ones.
Convention shows.
She's my plus one.
She's my
plus one.
So, and we have her back from time to time. So she's not a regular yet, but
we keep trying to talk the ladies into doing a ladies' night version of Traveling the Vortex, and they can all get together and complain about how much time this eats up out of our schedule. Because I think you guys would all just eat it up, but so far, Mel's the only taker.
All right, next up is Chrissy.
Yes.
Chrissy writes, when Loki's away, the Master will come out to play. Dear Vortex Boys, update on the book club. This just in. We had a tie for which book we would be reading for April. So I can...
Wait, do we get to announce it? Or does we still have to wait until...
Well, do you want to let me read this?
Go ahead. I'm just excited. I didn't know we were going to find out tonight. I'm just...
Well, the poll closed the 30th.
Are we going to get... Wait, she said it closes Sunday. No, that's
Today is Sunday.
Yeah. But I didn't expect... I'm sorry, I wasn't prepared. I didn't expect us to get to see what the choice was this week. So I thought we'd have to wait till tomorrow.
It's news to you.
And she announced it on the actual website, but we get to break the news?
We get to break the news.
I'm excited. Okay, keep going.
We had a tie for which book... I feel like this is anticlimactic now. We had a tie for which book we'd be reading for April. So I consulted an impartial third party, which is just a fancy word for me flipping a coin between the two that tied. For the month of April, the Traveling the Vortex Book Club will be reading The Crooked World by Steve Lyons.
Yay!
And it is updated.
So I got a month of finding another book to read because I've never read that one.
All pertinent.
I'm excited that everybody's going to be reading this one because I'd like to get everybody's take on it.
All pertinent information and guidelines on the discussion will be at the group's main page, so go check that out. Here's the direct link, because I know some people are still trying to get their feet under them with using Goodreads. We will post that in the show notes. That's your cue, Glenn. Okay. Again, if anyone has any trouble getting the book, just drop a line to your neighborhood Vortex librarian. That's me. That's Chrissy saying that. And I'll help you find a copy. That's Chrissy, not me.
Sean wouldn't know the first thing about finding a book for you.
Go to a library. Books grow in forests, don't they?
He would say, contact Chrissy.
No, I mean, you have to go to the forest to find the books, aren't they?
I think that's
with the
right.
wolves?
Yep.
Don't they hang out there? You have to bring a bone.
You have to go to the jungles, though, with the ocelots.
But not the books.
No.
Okay. But bring a bone.
But and you might get saved by a computer. But
Well, you have to befriend the book. and put it, but don't put it in a boat.
No, don't put it in a boat. It's not going to go across the seas with you.
Hope you guys don't mind me using podcast time to promote the book club
Not
and
at
keep
all.
people updated.
We do not mind at all.
I think we're okay with
I
it.
think that's part and parcel of this newscast. Podcast is the book club, so they're all joined together. So, Chrissy, you keep us updated.
Insert witty segue about this week's reviews.
That's on you, Sean.
And now, a tap dancing ocelot.
I'm sure Chrissy doesn't play Minecraft.
Thanks, Chrissy. The Mutants. I see. Some mutant ocelot. They look like a pig. It totally works.
No, they do mutate into cats.
They mutate into cats, but they look like pigs, but only in the plush form.
It's microevolution, but we'll give it to them.
Honestly, this whole thing felt kind of meh to me. Chrissy, you've been kind of meh on the last couple of stories, haven't you? At first, I thought it was just because I was having a bad day, and that affected my outlook on the first 3 episodes. But then I felt the same way for the last 3 last Friday, so I've got nothing. It wasn't a bad story, it just wasn't particularly memorable for me, which is strange because I like other non-unit Third Doctor stories, so I can't really blame that. I really have nothing to say. I'll let you 3 take point on this one. The Spear of Destiny. Recently, I read Dark Horizons, which is an 11th Doctor novel that takes place in Viking times. And I had the hardest time following what the heck was going on in that story. It was confused and muddled, and it didn't feel like a Doctor Who story at all. However, when I read The Spear of Destiny, which has a similar setting, I really had a blast reading it. All the characters acted and spoke the way I would expect them to. There was a lot of great humor, and it was just a fun book to read. It was a perfect combination of traditional Third Doctor unit story and a Third Doctor time travel story, which the last one doesn't happen very often. I rather enjoyed the whole Odin and Thor were real people whose stories became mythology twist, and that might be the closest we get to having Tom Hiddleston in Doctor Who. Which, if Marcus Sedgwick's other... That's kind of a... Marcus Sedgwick. Boy, I don't envy your teachers, Marcus. That was rough. If his other books use similar storytelling devices, I might have to read his other stuff, after I plow through the 30 or so books currently sitting on my desk right now. 2 big thumbs and big toe up. 2 thumbs and big toe up. I muddled that. That's all we've got for this week. It just started snowing, so if I'm not buried under a pile of late March snow, I'll talk at you all later. Chrissy.
Well, good, exciting, Chrissy. That's... I'm glad that you like Spear. So, all right. Next up then is
Holly,
and Holly writes 170, The Spear of Destiny and the Mutants. Hey everyone, The Spear of Destiny. A Third Doctor and Joe story. I was a little apprehensive at first, just like the rest of you, how the 50th anniversary audio story for the Third Doctor was. I was very happy and surprised and pleased. Happily surprised and pleased. This was a very enjoyable read that I actually had to pace myself and not rush through the story. The Doctor trying to break in and replace the real spear with the fake was interesting. The whole thing with the Doctor being able to up his internal body temperature to dry off was interesting. When I read that passage, I got a mental flash to the scene in Back to the Future 2 when Marty lands in the pond by the clock tower and his jacket dries himself. It wouldn't be a Third Doctor story without an appearance from the Master. I love the ending. The Master is now stuck thanks to Joe. I can so picture the Doctor and Joe kind of leaning into each other and grinning very big about what just happened. The Mutants. A decent story. I really did not like the Marshal at all. Joe getting used as a bargaining chip to make the Doctor do what the bad guy wants him to do. I could almost see touches of full circle in the story, even though the Mutants took place first with the evolution cycle of the people on the planet that the Doctor and Joe landed on. Well, I'll wrap it up here. Looking to hear everyone's thoughts on these 2 stories. Holly from Wisconsin. Thank you, Holly.
And she spins in a little bit more.
She did. She says, just wanted to say that I enjoyed the interviews from your last podcast. And thank you very much. I'm glad that you enjoyed it, because that's... Hopefully we can do some more of those kind of things, because it kind of breaks up our show a little bit.
Changes things up a little bit.
Does change things up and gives another perspective that we can't always share. And I thought the interviews came out terrific. Now, granted, I did them, but I thought that worked well, and it was quite enjoyable to get that information and hear from those guys. So.
Remind me afterwards to ask you some housekeeping questions.
Oh, sure. No, what did I do wrong?
You didn't.
Oh, okay.
I don't think you did. Did you do something wrong?
I'm not doing. No.
Are you crossbreeding ocelots?
Yes.
With dogs?
With dogs.
Or horses?
They're ocelots.
Werecats.
Why did I go there?
All right, well, let's start off with...
Just beating a dead horse.
That's what we do around here, Sean.
And there are horses in Minecraft now to beat.
You gotta kill it first. Or let the wolf do that.
I don't know what...
Or the werecats.
I think you get leather if you kill a horse. So.
You get leather?
Yeah. So it's kind of a waste because you can get leather,
you
from,
get leather
cows
from the killed
and
cow.
steaks. So.
Yeah, leather and steak.
Okay. The Mutants! When a strange message pod turns up at Unit HQ, the Doctor and his assistant Joe are suddenly involved in another dangerous mission for the Time Lords. The TARDIS takes them to Skybase 1 above the inhospitable Solos. It is the 30th century and the planet is about to gain independence from Earth's glorious empire. But someone on Solos has other plans, and alarmingly, the natives are slowly mutating into fierce-looking creatures. It's time for the Doctor and Joe to find out why.
Dun, dun, dun!
I'll go with that. I wasn't sure how excited I should go. So.
No, it wasn't.
In fact, I may have actually gone just a little
Super
more
exciting. But.
Well, I think the latter four make up for the slow pacing of the first two.
Yeah.
And the first two, it's important to have that because you need that establishment for what's going to happen later. You need to, if you don't have the explanation of the back of the box, you need to know that this is a world and how Earth is in control of it, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. There's a lot of important plot information that's dumped in there in the beginning. And then it picks up pace and really trucks, I think, the rest of the way through. Yeah. I really enjoyed this one. And again, kind of the end, where things went a little weird and ghost light. I really liked it then.
This is one of those stories that, like you say, it suffers from its...
length.
Yeah, it suffers from being a 6-part story. And unfortunately, they obviously felt the need to do that with a lot of the Pertwee era. A lot of the stories in those seasons are 6 parts or more. And I think that, like you said, the first two just kind of, it's like it's a slow build, but it's too slow. It's like,
a little too slow.
It just starts out the Doctor and Joe are messengers, essentially, from the Time Lords. And suddenly we're in this mess of the Time Lords of suddenly... we're using the Doctor as our errand boy once again, because this follows on the heels of the 3 Doctors. And so it's just one of those things where we're setting up what's going on, we're introducing characters, one of which we're going to get rid of immediately as well, which frustrated me because I like the actor. Sean, you remember his name?
Jeffrey
Beavers. And I love that guy. In fact, when he shows up, I'm like, oh, hey, all right, this is going to be quite enjoyable. So much for that.
Boot.
Yeah, boot. So it really suffers from that. But it wasn't until the end of the 3rd part that I went, whoa.
We're getting traction. We're going somewhere.
We're getting traction, yay, and now I have to wait an entire week in order to see what's going to happen to our heroes here. But episodes 4, 5, and 6 for me were quite enjoyable.
I agree.
They still had some moments that were really tough to get through because they would kind of wane and slow a bit. But overall, I quite enjoyed the story altogether. I wasn't quite... I didn't... this one's been cast over the years as not a great one because it's very heavy-handed in the racism themes. It was very heavily influenced by the apartheid in the 1970s and what was going on down there and segregation and whatnot. And the imperialism aspect is also injected in there, which... especially in the UK, you're either kind of for or against those ideals and how the Empire should have either thrived or fallen. But a lot of that, to me, wasn't smack you in the face political storytelling. It wasn't a lot of, hey, this is what I believe and this is. There just wasn't a lot of that there, so I didn't have a real problem with any of that, and it didn't feel heavy-handed to me, as I think it has for a lot of people. So I quite enjoyed the story. I did not like the Marshal at all.
I don't think you're supposed to.
And I thought he was a little over the top in his portrayal. But on the flip side, you're exactly right, Keith. You weren't supposed to like him. So he established the right feeling for me in that story. Of how I should have been liking him. Jaeger, the scientist, I thought he was kind of pointless. But he's one of those characters that's almost... It's like he's supposed to be a pointless character. He's supposed to be the scientist that hasn't quite got it, and he needs somebody else to step in and show him how it's done.
Jaeger swung through a couple of different like when he first showed up, it was like, oh, you're going to be the poor guy the doctor's going to come in and help out. And he was this kind of befuddled little mild genius. And the doctor would say, well,
kind of a kettlewell.
Yeah, kind of a kettlewell. And he would throw...
The
doctor would throw things out there, and he would like... Well, I don't understand this. And the doctor would explain a bit more. He goes, oh, you're going to blah, blah, blah. And it was like, oh, okay, you're kind of keeping up with the doctor. This is kind of cool. And then as it went on, he became a little more nefarious. Yeah. He wasn't quite Nider, who's as dyed-in-the-wool Nazi as you can get.
Right.
But the just following orders, bit. But he became a little bit more... But... I don't know. It was frustrating for me because there were times when he's trying to stand up for the science, and he's like, "We can't do this. We haven't tested this. We blah blah blah." And I'm finding myself trying to side with him. Yeah, you should do that because the Marshal's horrible. The Marshal's just an evil, nasty. Kind of reminded me of Mr. Fibuli, that guy, Captain. And so I want to side with him because you should. And then I have to stop and remind myself, but the ultimate goal of your experiment here is to make the planet breathable for humans and kill all the sentient life on the planet, and you're going along with this. And I had to keep reminding myself of that when the doctor kind of turns on him at the end and says, that man, and he's like, a war criminal. And I was like, he's just he actually is.
He has as much of a hand in it as the Marshal.
I mean, it was a frustrating character swing for him, for me.
Yeah, no, I agree.
And we did lose, it was Jeffrey Palmer, right?
Palmer
or Beavers?
Palmer. It was Jeffrey Palmer. Beavers is the actor that played the Master. Jeffrey Beavers is the
cross-pollinating.
Degenerating Master. Yeah.
Right, okay.
Yeah, Jeffrey Palmer.
Who's still with us.
I'm glad you looked at Yeah.
Jeffrey Palmer is.
Well, Jeffrey Beavers is too. But.
Well...
In fact, Jeffrey Beavers just did light at the
end. let me go back and clear up any confusion. Both actors are still alive.
Both actors are with us.
One actor was not in the story. Correct. The other actor was in the story, and his character died. Okay.
Yes.
Which, if you don't know who Jeffrey Palmer is, he was in the pre-sequence. He was the general in the pre-sequence. Admiral in the pre-sequence for Tomorrow Never Dies. Which is very, very cool that they did that because he and Judi Dench, who's also in that scene, did a situation comedy on the BBC. I think it was on the BBC. It was in the UK called As Time Goes By, which is quite an enjoyable comedy. It's a very quaint little.
It's funny.
It is.
It's just downright funny.
So they did those together, and then obviously, people that are familiar with Doctor Who will recognize that he was the captain of the Titanic in.
Voyage of the Damned.
Thank you, Voyage of the Damned. So that's his most recent thing with Doctor Who. So,
and we lost him, but I liked
his character
in the story.
In the story, I'm going back to the story in our review, but I really liked Sondergaard and really enjoyed him. He was so much fun to watch, and just partially because it was Lobot.
Because what?
It was Lobot.
Lobot, yes.
And I knew I recognized him instantly.
It was one of those that I saw him, and it just was like a familiar face. And I think it wasn't until you said he was Lobot that I went, oh, yeah.
Along with so many other things.
Yeah.
This guy's
new.
Blofeld in For Your Eyes Only, and he was an elder in the Superman films 1 and 2. I didn't see what he did in 3, but
he didn't do anything in 3. But he was some Russian in 4.
Yeah. Oh, it was Quest for Peace. And then what else? Flash Gordon, which I knew he was in Flash Gordon after I realized that was Lobot. I knew Lobot had played in Flash Gordon as well. But he's one of those.
He's got some
guys
serious sci-fi cred there.
Sci-fi cred.
And I don't think I'd ever heard him talk until this.
Well, he hasn't. He didn't as Lobot. He didn't. No. Well, I think he did in. He was the one announcing the stuff in Flash Gordon. He was one of.
Strange object imaged in the Imperial Vortex.
Yeah, that's him. Colitis Observers, I think is what they called him. Yeah. I like Kai a lot too.
I like Kai.
He's a central character.
I didn't think I was going to.
I didn't think I was either.
Yeah.
And it's
but
not.
He goes through such a great growth.
Yeah.
He does. He really does. And in more ways than one.
Literally.
It was the interesting thing was we had this character who really seems like the central core of an uprising or a revolution. That it doesn't really ever get off the ground, especially in those 2 first episodes. He's one of them that's kind of rallying against the establishment or the imperialism.
Well, that kind of also gives it the full circle feel
he's
too.
Not, yes, but he's not the who was the other guy that actually started to change. He was the real ruthless commander guy. And he wasn't quite the
Conan the Barbarian.
Yeah, he wasn't
guy.
quite the we're taking back our homes. And Kai was kind of more of this like negotiator who was trying to just kind of steer things within his clan or his group. Whereas the other guy kind of just took charge and did his thing when he finally realized that they were getting the short shift. So yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed Kai, especially once his story started kind of going.
It seems like a lot of these characters, like Stubbs and Cotton, which I really enjoyed, it took their time getting there.
Stubbs and Cotton could have been very good characters, but the guy that was playing Cotton, his
accent was
so dry.
His accent was a little hard
line
to
delivery
hear.
was horrible. It just, he was tough. But I thoroughly enjoyed those characters
and they had a great dynamic.
Dynamic.
And it was kind of when we lost Stubbs in the story. Just kind of when...
Yeah.
I was sad.
You were sad.
I really liked
Stubby!
I know him from somewhere too. You looked him up, and I know I have not seen anything the guy's been in, but man, he looks familiar. But he was such an enjoyable character, and as a guard, I mean, yeah, you're kind of the head guard or whatever he was, but as a guard, you're one of the bad guys, and then you kind of start helping the good guys, and it's like, okay, this is that character. Yeah, I know what's happening. He made it all the way up to what, episode 5?
Yeah.
He made it pretty far,
and then croaked, and I'm like, oh.
He was that guard who was almost going to make it.
He was, yeah.
Which,
I mean, no offense, but I really thought Cotton was going to buy it early.
Yeah, props to Who for breaking the typical stereotype of the minority making it through.
Yeah, that's true. Because
I mean, I kind of expected him to bite it.
And that is a frequent sci-fi trope, as
that's
bad as it is.
A sci-fi horror trope.
Exactly. But to be able to,
and not only does he survive all the way to the end, and he gets promoted.
Yeah, he becomes in charge of it.
And that might have been some of the political, overtones that they were trying to
I definitely think so.
Because the writers of this were very anti-imperialism, which is funny because they're up against Terrence Dix at the time, who is this script editor, who is very pro-imperialism. So it's shocking that a lot of this stuff came through, but maybe it's because it's so subversive in the message that it kind of got.
And you watched the documentary on it. And they pretty much laid out the fact that this is very much apartheid that they were doing.
Is this the time on the show when Terrence is trying to shift away from the 6-parters?
Yes, it was. This was towards the end.
This is when he was fighting.
Before Philip was going to take over. Or not Philip. Well, Barry was running at this time. But yeah, it was before the shift, yeah.
You go mad scientist, alien invasion. Bugger me, he's right.
I'll tell you,
I like
I thoroughly enjoyed the design of the mutants.
Yes,
I thought
that's what I was about to go to.
The Mutts.
I really like, and they could have almost just been anthropomorphized bugs.
They weren't,
but they weren't. And that's
they couldn't have been because they weren't.
But looking at them on the cover, and
they look like big termites. Glenn, come on.
Nope, not at all. It looks like a very original design. It looks like what do you call it? What's they call the 3-segmented arthropods? Is that what they call them? The 3-segmented bugs. That's
like an ant.
Yeah, the most bug that they are. Is it arthropod?
I don't know.
Some might say a termite.
That's it doesn't look like a termite though. If you look at it, it's segmented body. That's the extent of
there's enough changes to it. It's not a Zarbi.
It's got a
no. Zarbi is
well, but
very
the thorax has a.
It's got that
almost not a. what's the word I'm looking for?
You're just looking to get my ire. They're not at all.
Yes,
they're not at all anthropomorphized bugs. They're very creative creations, and I appreciate that. They're really good.
Apparently, I don't know what an anthropomorphized bug is.
Anthropomorphized animals are a bug that's taking on humanoid characteristics. That is an anthropomorphized. This is not.
This day at
This
least made changes to the bug.
Pigmen.
So the
rhinos.
Hang on.
Running around.
The fact that the rhinos are walking upright is an anthropomorphic. The fact that the fly creatures in Planet of the Earth are upright.
They have to have humanoid characteristics.
Okay, so those have that.
Yeah.
But because these
are almost
termites,
animal-like.
They aren't termites though. They're very alien.
Because the termites did not behave like people; they behaved like bugs.
No,
you were okay with it.
No, it's because they made enough design changes.
You're 1,000 miles off because his face looks nothing like a termite. The only thing I'm saying is this: the only thing bug-like about this is the segmented bodies. That's it. It is not even close. There's no bug that looks like that. No termite looks anything. like that.
Submit for my Exhibit A, Katrina, who was up and watched this and called them bugs.
Sure, they're bug-like. I don't have a problem with that. But they aren't any particular bug,
and
they're not
that
any,
exists.
I mean, they're even less bug-like than the bugs in Star Trek Troopers, and none of those looked like Starship Troopers, and none of those looked like any particular bugs that we have on Earth. They just were very large alien bug-like creatures. This doesn't even look close to that. I mean, that's my point. Is this is not an anthropomorphized termite? This is a creative Doctor Who alien. Is what this is.
It's a bug alien that's not a current bug that we have.
Okay,
that's what makes the difference.
I don't care if you anthropomorphize a bug. Just don't anthropomorphize an ant. Don't anthropomorphize a. Get some creativity in there.
Generalistic anthropomorphizing.
Inject some creativity, and I'm all right with it.
Okay.
Just don't give me upright walking around rhinos. That's just ridiculous. No creativity there. That's lazy. That's lazy storytelling. That's lazy production design.
More design than storytelling.
Yes. Let's get out there and get some imagination going. And these are wonderful. I love them. I love the design of them. They look great.
I like the idea behind them too. That this planet goes through 500-year seasons, and
walking caterpillars.
And then they have to adapt and mutate.
To
survive, and the human interaction is causing it to go wrong. That's great.
Yeah.
That's a clever idea.
This would be working the way that it should be working.
I really like that aspect.
But it would still be happening. It would still be happening, but it's
and it's causing issues.
Well, they're changing the atmosphere,
because they want to inhabit the area themselves. Yeah. They want to colonize essentially this planet for themselves. So. And the Marshal wants to be the head of that planet, so he's doing things.
For as much as we disliked the Marshal, it was fun to watch.
He's a great villain.
He was a great villain because he started off with this, and as he got closer and closer and closer, he got more and more bent, and just more and more unrealistic, more and more to the end when it really became, you are a raving lunatic. You didn't start off this way, but you've really become power mad.
The story helps that too, because in the way that it's happening is he realizes how he could be slipping away from control, especially when the Doctor arrives and starts, steering things, and they start figuring out what's going on here. When he realizes that he might be slipping away from control of what's going on, he has to do that. He has to bend a little bit in order, and gets more and more bent as it happens, because he's desperately trying to remain in control of what's going on and be, in charge of what's happening and cover up what they're uncovering that is happening to these people on this planet. So, I love that aspect.
To the point where he's so rational at the end about, you're not going to make it back to Earth. There'll be an accident. You're going to be colonizing the planet. And he's so matter of fact about it. The guy's looking at him like, what are you talking about? I'm not colonizing anything. He's like, oh, yeah, you are.
Yeah, you are.
It's just...
If I say so.
What I say goes.
I loved his little twitch, if you will, that he was so dependent on that communicator cane that that was his, that was his rod of power, that he's going to carry this thing around.
It's funny
with
that
him.
you zeroed in on that. I didn't think about that until you said that. He kind of had a nervous twitch with it.
He did. Well. He played with that nonstop. And I just thought, for as much as we did not like him as a character, I thought he was a very well done character. And I think maybe the reason that we didn't like him so much is because he was so well done.
Maybe a touch over the top. I think the actor took it just a little too far. I didn't mind the fact that he did become bent and kind of mad there towards the end. But I felt early on that he was trying to drive the idea of that particular character a little home.
Well, especially the opening sequence where he's the one hunting down.
Yeah,
too
much zeal.
And I was like you. I expected him to, as you said on Twitter, and I'll give you credit, fart and unzip his forehead because he reminded me of that guy that played the main Slovene in World War III and what was the first part of that?
Aliens
of London. Yeah. What else can I say about it? This is one of those ones that isn't a fan favorite. In fact, a lot of people.
I think it's underrated.
Yeah, I think it's sorely underrated. The sets in this are wonderful.
The sets are
wonderful.
wonderful.
I love that they talked about in the special, or the making of, about how the inspiration came from a lot of NASA images. That and I forget the art director's name here now, but deriving the look of the space station. And that's another thing is I hear a lot of people talk about how Doctor Who's production of Doctor Who is always good if the lights are dim. That dim lights
sometimes,
and I concur with that for a majority of stories. But this is one of those stories that the very bright space station, sterile-looking sets work like they do in Warriors of the Deep. We've always talked about how we enjoy the sets in Warriors of the Deep because they're bright and they're very sterile, but they're also very technology savvy. And this is the same way.
I would go far enough to say it's 100% the opposite. I think when Doctor Who doesn't light their sets, it almost seems to be a measure of we're trying to cover up the shoddy production value.
I agree. They should. Though they should sometimes, because there's a lot of times they've come down to the run of an episode block, and it's clear they didn't have the money to make the set look great. So I think they're right. I think dim lighting does play in their favor.
Yeah.
In this situation, so much work was done on the set to look good that the lighting really needed to be there as well, and it was very favorable in this one. And to the same extent, the caves, the crystalline caves, were fantastically lit. I loved the eerie alienness of the different colors that they used to splash on those walls. I could tell they keyed it,
but it still looked great.
Well, there was only very little keying on that. Anytime there was an effect, there was the color overlay. But most of those shots were location shots in the salt mine. Was it salt chalk? I think is where they originally mined out of this cave years ago. I thought it was interesting that the guy that played Kai said that the hieroglyphics that they'd carved into the walls as of 1992 were still there. So that was kind of cool. That's 30 years or 20 years later, they're still in those caves. But the sets were great, and Barry Letts, or not Barry Letts, Christopher Barry, who is on this as well, talked about how it was kind of a joy to shoot in those caves and to use that lighting and shadowing, and that he thought they really came off well. And I agree. I think that the shots in the caves look good. Even the color overlay effects I thought were done well on this. The Metamorphosis might have been just a little psychedelic looking, but I think it was okay.
This doesn't look like a Third Doctor story. In my mind, because maybe because it's not a unit.
The unit's gone and they're not on Earth.
They're not on Earth.
That's two things in favor.
Very much different for this. But compared to other ones that we've done, where Peladon, which looks like a dimly lit castle with torch flickering, or the Dalek one, where we're in what is obviously a rock quarry. There's we get so many of those.
Well, the exteriors of that one are rock quarry, but the interiors.
But they didn't look like it. Though.
No, they looked very. But I like the interiors there because they were very stainless steel looking, which I thought was appropriate for that story.
And the hut, the village that they went to. It didn't. That was well done. The spaceship was phenomenal, and I told you what a genius way of playing with space, from the standpoint that you've got your embarkation center, which is the same exact set. You just flip the signs on it, so that you have to beam up to the ship.
Right. And the beam effect and the door being kind of a rotating. Really neat design.
It's just a very simple. It's like stagecraft at this point.
Really
how do we make this look bigger than it actually is? Where we're going to do this with it? And what a genius idea that you're going to go this and this. Now, I will say, I don't know if I missed it in the first three parts,
I think you just
or what
did.
the deal was. They kept talking about Skybase. We're going to go back to
when you
Skybase.
brought that up, I thought, are you kidding me?
I had no idea that it was in space.
Oh, yeah.
I just thought it was...
I think he just missed the establishing shot of them looking through the window.
Oh,
Yeah,
well, they had that big model shot of it going across the sky.
totally didn't see that.
Across the space a couple of times.
I totally didn't see it. I just, I don't know what happened. I don't know what I was looking at.
down.
I
Well,
must have been looking at my Twitter or
the
something.
scene in the, was it the 4th episode or the 5th where the wall blows out?
That's
when you
what
realized-
that's what
when you
cued me in
realized it? Okay.
when he punctured the hole and everybody blew out into space. I was
I
like,
gotcha.
"Holy crap!" I don't know why I was thinking Cloud City.
That was the cliffhanger of 4, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that sounds right.
I was thinking Cloud City, and maybe because it's a mining, thing.
Oh, so
I
it just
went
happened to be,
Bespin.
it was above, but it wasn't necessarily in
I
space.
thought
Okay, gotcha.
the Cloud Miners, the episode of Star Trek where
Okay,
there's a
I
floating city.
see.
That's
I
where
can
my
see
brain
that.
automatically went.
He went sky base.
Sky
instead of
base. Okay.
Space base.
Okay.
Yeah,
Star base.
if he'd said Starbase, I don't know. It's in space.
Yeah.
But for some reason, that just didn't cue in there. But yeah, I thought the sets I thought were phenomenal, and the caves. You're right; they looked really, really good. So there's a lot of. I love the wardrobe when what's his name? The professor, Soul, the guy we liked, the bald
Solidar.
Sondengard.
Sondengard.
Yeah.
When he shows up and he takes the radiation suit off, and he's got this very kind of 70s hippie outfit on. It totally worked for him.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, yeah, I buy
absolutely.
that.
Absolutely.
This doesn't look like you
This is the
repurposed a
guy-
hippie outfit.
This is the guy on the planet finding something out that
Yeah. And he was such a great with his accent. Everything about him was just cool. He was this nutty little guy, and I loved him. And I totally expected him to die. Just, here he comes. This is going to be it. This is ready. And then he didn't.
there were a lot of moments.
A lot of moments.
Yeah, a lot of moments.
Just leave me. I'm going to lay down in the radiation-filled cave, and you go on without me. He survived that. And then he storms the skybase on his own. Oh, this is going to end badly. And then it doesn't. Oh, they locked him in the radiation chamber with everybody else. He's going to die. And then he didn't.
And he does. It's like,
Sweet.
a lot of capture and
The
release in
unkillable
there.
man.
Capture and escape in this.
Well, that's the
which
problem
is
with, again, the
typical of
six-parters.
Seventh Doctor era as well.
Third Doctor.
Or Third Doctor. Third Doctor era as well. 70s is what I was thinking.
And go Joe.
Yeah,
For-
she's
for-
quite enjoyable.
Well, she's
in this.
separated from the Doctor for quite a
Separated
bit of
from the
time,
Doctor
so she's
for a
teamed
very
up with
long
Kai,
time.
and they have a great chemistry.
They do. They really do.
And for going from, she separated the Doctor initially to basically be the bargaining chip, and she is literally going to be the damsel of distress portion of the show. But being Joe, she doesn't do that. She figures out. So this is the guy I saw that she figures the radiation thing out for him, and then they lock her back up, and she gets out. She picks the handcuff, and just turns the tables on the guard. And you could tell there's some great method acting going on when the guys are all got their hands, interlocked behind that counter, and they start unlocking them, and everybody just kind of sags this shy of relief. Because I'm looking at them going, man, my shoulders blades would be killing me if I had to shoot for any length of time like that. And they all did the same thing. Arms back around. And then she's the one that gets the message out, at the end. And so there's a very, very good, strong Joe episode. Which I was worried when the Marshal was intent on making her the bargaining chip. I was really worried that this is going to be, and it wasn't. So
I'll tell you, I was very encouraged because I've watched the first 3 episodes and thought, it was okay. The ending was really, really good. I mean, the cliffhanger there was really, it sparked my interest at that point. But when I started the 4th episode, I was so lost probably for the first 10 or 15 minutes.
It was very confusing.
It had just taken a turn, but I was excited about that because I thought this is really going to be different than what I really thought, and that we were setting up for the first 3 episodes. And it really, I mean, the idea and the message in the story is still there, and what's happening, the central core of the story is there, but things are really elevating and changing, and it's not like the story took a left turn. In how it was, what it was telling us, it just took a left turn in the pace and the design, and everything was going differently, and it really kind of circled back around. But
in the words of Terrence Dix, who always comments, and he said this in several different interviews about the writers Bob Baker and Dave Martin, that he would get a script from them and it would start off and be yes, okay, this is good, yes. Wait, what? No, what are you doing? No, and I'd have to rewrite the whole thing because they would do that. They'd go over here and do something. I told Keith,
they seem to have got away with it with this one. Because Axos, so when you can tell that one was had the potential for going, which they also wrote Claws of Axos. You could tell that had the potential of going off the rails and really changing and doing something weird and wild, and it doesn't. I mean, it's simply.
I kind of wish it would.
Yeah, I do too. And I think it would be
that
a
was one
story.
that I wish would have just gone off the rails and see what can we do with this. I told Keith, this one honestly has been sitting on this is one of the ones that came in that big massive pack of stuff that I bought from CD Trade Post. And so it was part of that buy, and it's been sitting there sealed, still wrapped up until now. I've kind of been avoiding it honestly because the bugs on the front of the box didn't interest me. It's the mutants when there's bugs. Okay, well I know where we're going with this.
There's a much better story than what
there's a much better story. This is definitely the example of don't judge the Who by the cover.
Don't judge the Who by the fandom either, because this is one of those stories that I've seen clips of, and I knew the premise of the story for the most part because for many years. As I was trying to catch up on Who that I hadn't seen, I read a lot of stuff, and I read a lot about this. But I knew more about the politics behind it and less about what the story really was. And so I think it's one that I avoided for a long time, thinking, well, it's not a fan favorite, so I'll do some of the ones that I haven't seen that have gotten a lot of praise. And I'm finding that my taste varies against the fans quite frequently, and that I need to just give things more of a chance.
Tends to go against the fan convention.
Yeah. We have that reputation for all Who is good Who, but I mean I think sometimes we tend to find the diamonds in the rough, if you will, and then maybe not think so much of the polished cubic zirconians.
Well, and part of it makes me wonder is if a lot of fan influence, if fans are out there and they haven't seen certain things, and because there's such a convention among fans of how a particular story should be viewed, that people go into it with already a presupposed opinion, and they don't enjoy it, even though it was a good story.
Don't give it a chance.
And I think that we're really good about not going into a story with any preconceived ideas, because we have found those nuggets that we're like, the majority of fandom doesn't like this, but this really is an enjoyable story, and I disagree with why people don't like and what they don't like about it. So
I really, really enjoyed it, and I had such a good romp, and I agree. I think the first 2 is set up, and the final 4 is where you really get the payoff. This is kind of one of those that I almost wish we didn't do 3 and 3. I almost wish we'd have done 2 and then done 4.
But might have been harder to start the next one because about the way we did it, I was excited about coming back to it the following week, and we ended with 1 and 2, and I might have gone. I don't know how I feel about this. I don't know.
One quick other story. Go ahead.
No.
So Katrina's still up, and she's kind of in and out with the Who watching. And the bugs showed up, and she got very excited. She's in this bug phase right now. I guess all kids do that, but she's very much in the bug phase right now. And so she's kind of watching, and then the Rainbow Cave. She loved the Rainbow Cave. It was all wrapped to the Rainbow Cave. So then kind of zoned out for a little bit, didn't care about the politics or the sky base or the trial in the 6th part, which was random insert here. But okay. 5 parts, I think, probably would have been good for this. But then, so they take Kai, and he's, turning into a bug, and they put him in the thing, and she's watching. And he turns into this beautiful butterfly, and he's all rainbow and glowing. I guess I have to do it in the Heimlich voice, because that's what he was. He's Heimlich from Bug's Life. And he takes off and floats down the hallway, and is doing weird chicken elbow moves, and the guards are falling over, and, all this kind of stuff. And he disappears through a wall. And she did not like that. And she turned, Pop up, where'd he go? It's like, well, he went away.
And then he shows back up. And then
he shows back up and kills the marshal, and then fades away. Pop up, where'd he go? he went away. Away? Yeah.
Pop up, where'd he go?
Where'd he go? She was not happy with my explanation of that. So I launched into well, he went back down to the planet to lead his people, and they're all going to become beautiful rainbow butterflies now.
Where'd he go?
And
so then we all start laughing. And then specifically she turns to Sean and goes, "It's not funny."
She did. She's sitting there on the couch with me, and she's very adamant. Pop up. Where'd he go? She keeps asking. It's like he's going to do this, and she's got us in stitches at this point. We're laughing so hard, and she turns and she puts her hand on me and goes, "It's not funny." And so I was like, "Okay, I'm sorry." So we finished the episode, and we get through everything and sign off and everything like that, and she's still.
Where'd it go?
She's still not happy about it. I was like, "Do you want to watch it again?" Uh-huh. So we backed it up and put it back in for her so that she could see the metamorph. And I don't know if she just didn't catch it. That was
she might have maybe looked away,
and then he was just gone or something. But so he floats through the wall, and she's kind of like, And I was like, just keep watching. And so I fast forward to the part in the lab, and he shows back up. I was like, okay, here he goes. And he shows back up, and he kills the marshal, and he goes, what? And goes away. I was like, are you okay with it now? Yeah. And that was the end of it. She dropped it, and we tried to get her to do it because we were
trying to recreate it so I could film it.
We got to Instagram video this and get her to go, Papa, where'd he go? So Keith's got the camera and everything, and could not get her to reenact
be on camera either.
And then she looked over and saw Keith. No. But she's on camera all the time. She loves taking pictures. Man, she saw you. She was in a mood. I guess. She saw right through that.
Serious business right now. She wasn't about to do anything.
We was on a mission with that because she saw you pull that camera.
Where'd he go?
No.
Pop, where'd he go?
So, but yeah, that was the tweet of the night right there. Pop, where'd he go?
All right, well, let's move on to our next review.
The Spear of Destiny. The Third Doctor and Joe Grant are trying to track down the magical Spear of Odin when they find themselves caught up in a vicious battle between two Viking tribes. But one of the Vikings is even more dangerous than he appears to be. Can the Doctor stop the spear getting into the wrong hands before it's too late?
Dun, dun, dun!
11 Doctors, 11 months, 11 stories.
Try in there, and you stopped early.
Sorry, did I?
Well, you were all geared up.
Well, but I wasn't sure he was done because every time he get to pause, I thought it was going
to. Then he was done, and I was going to jump in with you, and then you didn't.
Well, because I wasn't sure it was over. So, oh wow! Finally, the Third Doctor in a 50th anniversary breakout gets his due.
I think I like this one better than the second Doctor one.
I think. It's
Marcus Sedgwick has Joe.
Yeah, they're right there, and they're just one overtakes the other every once in a while, and it just wow.
Marcus Sedgwick had Third Doctor and Joe's voices down perfectly.
Yes, he did.
Yeah, I think so too.
And he knew the storytelling well too.
This is one of those stories that when it starts, it feels epic. It feels like it's going to be this big story because we're talking about stealing. We're going to steal. Well.
It feels
it felt in vain of that Cloak and Dagger James Bond spy novel Doctor that we had is what it felt like. So I was very accepting of that, but it is unlike anything we have seen the Third Doctor.
It almost felt more Seventh or Eighth Doctor.
Yeah, and when he comes along and he kind of explains what he's doing and why he's doing it for. It really works a lot better, but they're kind of playing with us as well as he's playing with Joe, and not fully disclosing what why he's doing
the
it.
Funny
but he
thing
explains
is
what he's going to do.
During the whole thing, I'm gonna I never pictured you for an art thief. It's not art, it's this, and he's very matter of fact about it. Yeah, we're gonna go steal it. And yet, as wild of an idea as that is, and like you said, it's much more of a Seventh or Eighth Doctor move. I bought into it. I was like, yeah. Perch with the art thief.
It's that very Cloak and Dagger spy game.
It felt very much like it is, and I loved that this one had what I usually don't like or tend not to like in some of the televised episodes, where we start off in one direction.
We completely
and then all of a sudden wind up
direction.
something else. Yeah. I really thought this was going to be a whole museum set, and there was going to be this Earthbound thing, and the unit was going to get involved with the owner of the Spear.
I kind of expected that
and
too.
I expected this whole back and forth, and what's the Spear? Why does the guy have this ulterior motive? He's got a private army, and and no, we're going to go back to Viking times and get it there.
And that's what made me. That's what made me think it felt very epic, because we started off with this very simple story. And then when we take that left turn, I thought, oh, wow, how are we going to do this in 50-some pages? Because there seems to be a lot setting up here now. And
it was so well realized, because that left turn, unlike so often where you go, well, why did it opened the door.
Yeah.
It didn't open the door. It kicked the door down. It's like, here we are, and we're going to go off and do this Viking thing now.
Right.
Now, raise your hands if you were surprised that the Master showed up. Nobody? Okay. I almost want a Third Doctor story where the Master doesn't show up.
Well, and I think
I just want an evil guy.
It's a convenient trope for people to go to, or convenient plot device for people to go to when they're writing these, because we're so familiar with the Master.
Well,
in
especially
the
if you're
Doctor
celebrating
Third Doctor stories.
Especially if you're celebrating the 50th anniversary. It would feel wrong not to have the Master there celebrating the 50th.
We just got a piece of the Master in the second Doctor story, which I thought they never say that's who he is, but
they imply
we imply that's who it is.
Well, because during those days he was known as the War Chief.
But it was interesting to see that and then follow it up with a book that's centered around the Master as the villain. So that was kind of...
Makes me wonder if we're going to get more Master stuff. Like maybe there's more of a continuing thread.
Could be. Although you and Coffer didn't feel any need to have the Master in his story. But
he didn't feel any need to have the Doctor in his story either.
Well, not the right one, anyway.
And the bit with them sitting in the hut of them after they're captured and her not wanting to take his cape and then deciding, I probably should have, despite how ugly it is.
Yeah.
And then, that explains why he can walk anywhere without having to bundle up.
I never thought of it. I didn't either. It was one of those things, and they mentioned it, and they named it, and all of a sudden we're going to do that. He just pumps up. He's got double hearts, double vascular system. He just pumps up the thing, and I went, retconned. Just fixed. Not that it was a problem, because he's an alien, so I've always written that off.
Oh, yeah.
When the fifth Doctor's in the audio adventure we didn't like that was in Alaska, and he's running around, and this is freezing.
Was that Winter for the
Yeah.
The first one. Either way, he runs around in the snow a lot, and he's fine, and this is freezing or took us off. It's just like, it doesn't bother me. And... okay.
Makes me think that the Sixth Doctor's cloak that he put on wasn't so much for the cold.
No, it was so much for the fashion statement. Yeah.
To mute those colors in that white background.
Yeah.
But just all of a sudden it was like, that
makes total sense.
Absolutely, I buy into that. It was such a genius move.
And I can almost understand that the second and the third Doctor would get better control over that, because like the first Doctor, going into his regeneration, was so bundle up, so it makes kind of sense that later in his life he would get better control of it.
Yeah.
At least that's how I rationalized
it. The second Doctor wore that big old woolly coat everywhere.
Well, that's true.
A big furry coat.
Well, I think that was fashion too.
That was fashion. He liked the Yeti so much he skinned it.
I think he was wearing that before he encountered.
No, it's a dead Yeti.
Actually,
that's why it chases him in the Five Doctors.
That's the first story that he encounters the Yeti is the Abominable Swarm, and then he has that coat.
Well, yeah, because he kills the Yeti and he puts it on his shoulders.
No, it was at the beginning before he encountered the Yeti.
Dude, it was a deleted scene. The second Doctor totally leapt in there with a stick and a knife, and he killed the Yeti.
Really, really good. Well done. And another thing that I thought was interesting was the jumping to the end was the whole idea of the temporal grace, which now resurfaces and does work, even though our 11th Doctor has said, essentially put forth that it really was a clever ruse, but it does work. So apparently,
I'd like to believe
the
that it's
temporal
something
grace
he deactivated.
does work sometimes and doesn't work sometimes.
Or we could go with the temporal grace worked in the third Doctor's era, it worked in the fourth Doctor's era, and then somewhere along the line he broke it.
Yeah.
Well,
and now it doesn't
work in the fifth Doctor's era. Because it didn't work with the Cyber
Didn't work with the Cyber Leader.
But it did work in the fourth Doctor's era, although only on the... Well, it didn't work for the Sontarans, though.
Let's blame Adric.
He did tinker with that console.
Adric broke it, and it led to his own demise with the Cybermen.
All right.
That temporal grace.
Yeah, that's just when he went there. When the author went there, I thought, I love you. Oh, something that is so just everywhere in Doctor Who, as far as whether it works or whether it doesn't, or whether it's in the story or whether it doesn't. It's a convenient plot device for everybody, and this guy used it swimmingly.
Yes,
it was wonderful.
And I will be honest, I bit hardcore on the spear switch.
Yes,
did not see that coming.
Oh, I saw it. Yeah,
I should have.
Once he stepped out with it, I was like, "Yep, that's what he did."
Should
that's why he stepped into it.
But I did not. And
yeah, it wasn't until Joe said, "But the spear," and he goes, "Oh yeah, but which one?" I was like, "Oh,
yeah."
You."
Well,
why didn't I see that coming?
It's because that is left behind for a good part of the rest of the story.
You're worried about escaping and everything.
Exactly.
And dealing with the Master.
distracted here, squirrel over here, and you're going, oh, yeah.
I did feel a little bit like they didn't quite follow through with the water wheels and all of that stuff with the Master as well as they could have. It feels like they kind of dropped it, in my opinion.
The water wheels were generating this box, which I didn't like the fact that he said box. It was like, really? You couldn't have found a... I mean, I guess device wouldn't work. You need to come up with a word that Odin is going to understand. But
what was your problem with the water wheels?
Just the box and the bomb idea. It just felt like they didn't wrap it up. Like,
he was just going to blow everybody up.
Well, but
that's how he's going to cover his tracks.
Right.
Yeah.
And the water wheel was just basically generating
what's keeping him from now
power to
still blowing up
his
the box? Why can't he still just this?
There's no point in blowing him up now. It's
the Master. He takes pleasure in.
No. The Master takes pleasure in the device that he's trying. He's not this. The Master has never been. The Master has never been this psychopath that just wants to kill people.
Okay,
if it's not going to benefit him, there's no need for him to do it.
Depends on which Master it is.
This Master.
If it's not going to further his, if it's not going to further his plot or his plan,
I don't know.
I have to side with Keith on that. There's several people that he's offed for no particular reason.
Then also the idea that they left this advanced technology behind. Just left it.
Didn't they sabotage it?
I didn't know.
I don't think they did. I didn't get that impression. It's all set up. It's still there. They just left it.
Well, clearly that's how the Master does
eventually escape.
But I thought he was stranded because
he was stranded because.
Odin was keeping him.
Well, no. Joe sabotaged his ship.
Joe accidentally broke something off the outside.
She broke something off the outside of the ship.
Temporal stabilizer on the outside. Wouldn't that be in the console?
Well, that seems like a really weird chameleon circuit.
But it was a quick way to...
It's a quick way, and I thought that was a little too quick of a way. But those are very small, nitpicky things about the story, because the trappings of everything else was very enjoyable.
Well,
I think it's those things that make it a 4-star instead of a 5-star.
Oh, you know what? Actually, it does say she reached out a hand to stroke the carved dragon's head that served as the prow, and saw there was even more detail inside the model. The benches on which the oarsman would sit, the tiller that controlled the rudder. She couldn't resist the temptation to touch the tiller. And as she did, she gasped because the thing snapped off in her hand. So she did break it off on the inside.
Okay, that fixes that for me. But it's still, I got the impression it left the bomb and all the cabling and everything of advanced technology in a primitive time that should not be there.
Maybe that's what I was thinking. That's why I accepted it, because I felt that whatever she did at least stymied him to get from getting out of there. So
yes, but
I don't know. But first of all, he's got a situation. The Master's stuck in a very sticky wicket from the standpoint that he's got Odin pissed at him, and he's got the other guy mad at him. So he's got to deal with both of them,
right?
And then he's got to fix the ship.
Right. Yeah.
So, yeah,
and he's going to beat a hasty retreat, so he's not going to necessarily need to. I think it also. This is me presuming a lot. But it also leads to the fact that Odin still was considered a god, even after he lost his power of his spears.
So maybe this was how he was able to?
Maybe it was. Maybe he still had some of that technology and used it, or maybe he blew the bomb up himself and wiped out an army, and so he still was elevated to god status. But I've always enjoyed...
buy that for $1. Why not?
I've always enjoyed...
For an ebook, you have to kind of resolve it quickly.
Yeah, there's a lot of that. Yeah, and so I'm a little more forgiving when you don't get into that kind of stuff.
When it's a novella.
I've always liked... when stories use alien influence to be the reason behind the lore of gods and mythology and that kind of thing. And this is another one.
This was one I really liked, the idea that they were just people, that they weren't Asgardians or something else.
Right.
That they weren't aliens.
Didn't come down from space.
Yeah, that they were actually just people, and that they got lifted up to this status.
Right, because of outside influence.
That's such a clever idea. I don't think I've seen something like that done before for a god.
Traditionally, it's been the ancient aliens.
Yeah, it's always been aliens. It's never been this human.
Yeah. Oh, the gods being aliens?
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, it's always that, instead of the gods being just a human that gets tall-tailed, essentially.
Everybody commented on, it's a quick read. Everybody said, it's a quick read. And I kind of thought, yeah, okay. On the times that we do these, I take the week and I get a little half-hour lunch, and so I sit down and kind of flip through, and I read as much as I can on my half hour and then go back to work. I finished this in one period of
Yeah.
I didn't have to take 3 or 4 lunch periods as I did with some of the other ones to kind of get through them, or at least 2.
This is a quick read, and to me, sometimes a quick read isn't necessarily one that is engaging. It's just that it's structured in such a way that you can
move quickly
through it.
I think this has both things going for it.
It does have that
both
going for it, but it also has that you can't put it down. In fact, I think I blew through this in half a day because half of one day and half of another day, so a full day total, but of time, but really only just a few hours of all of that time. And it was more of just because I couldn't put it down, and I just kept going and going and going.
Yeah, I literally read this thing in half an hour.
Engaged.
So
half an hour? Well,
that's all I get for lunch.
I do.
But I like the short chapters.
Yeah, the short chapters were nice in this.
There are times when short chapters annoy me. When it's obvious that you wrote a whole 300-page book and each chapter is 2 pages, you're doing it wrong. I'm sorry. Yeah. I don't need 700 numbers to be on the chapter page at the end of the thing.
I prefer short chapters.
But I generally do prefer short chapters.
Well, that's just it. I agree with Sean in that sense that sometimes short chapters, I don't like that many chapters in it, but I do enjoy the short chapter if it makes sense and
if it makes sense and there's a purpose for it, and it's not each. If you wrote a whole book full of chapters that were 2 pages, but you wrote 1,000 pages, I think you did it wrong.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yet I appreciate a shorter chapter as opposed to the guy who writes, "Here's 500 pages," and then you're in chapter 2. And it's like, oh my god!
I really don't like that.
Just because sometimes it's nice to get to that break and feel like you've accomplished something.
I don't like stopping mid-chapter.
Yeah,
I just have a thing. I don't like to stop mid-chapter. The shorter ones.
I didn't like that till I had kids. I don't think I've ever gotten from chapter to chapter, except for late at night when I had some time to myself. But
I hope the rest of these ebooks are
okay. So now here's the question. So they go to the museum, and the spear's in the museum, and they needed to figure out the runes on the spear so that they could paint them on the fake.
Right.
But then we go back in time and replace the real spear with the fake. So the runes that they're copying are from the fake spear to begin with.
Oh, yeah.
In theory.
Wibbly wobbly. Timey-wimey.
Yeah.
So what happened to the real spear? The Time Lords had it the whole time, I guess.
Yeah.
After the Doctor interfered.
The Doctor interferes and gets
it's a loop, so...
Interestingly enough, we reviewed 2 stories this week where the Time Lords have the Doctor being the errand boy.
Yeah, I think for the middle part of his run is kind of representative.
The other interesting thing is I thought is how interesting is this that we're going to nip in and steal it. It's just the concept.
I like the idea of he hops in the TARDIS and barely kind of missed.
Yeah. Oops. On the roof.
Well, because he talked about, she's like, we got guards and dogs and blah, blah, blah. And he's like, we got a TARDIS. Oh, yeah. So we jump in the TARDIS and we're going to go in. And I'm thinking.
So now you've placated Joe's fears.
Yes. Well, I'm still thinking to myself.
And then you turn around and.
On the roof.
See, and this is the being spoiled by New Who, because I'm thinking if I'm going to go steal an artifact, I'm just going to materialize the TARDIS around it and bypass all of that nonsense and then take off with it. New series, you could do that. Old series, not so much.
Yeah,
and they illustrate that perfectly. Well, we're on the roof. Oh, well. We'll just go from here.
Well, after that landing, I was a little worried they weren't actually going to make it back to the time they were trying to get to. They missed that bullseye.
That's right.
He was lucky to make it the second time.
And I liked the talk about this actually being the Spear of Destiny, the one that pierced Christ's side, but you couldn't go to that date because it's subjective. And I was like, this is so well thought out for an ebook.
It really was.
Everything about this works. It's such a good story, too.
I wonder if Marcus Sedgwick is a history buff, too. I would think he would need to be to write something like this.
Perhaps.
At least to know that those things you can't have specific dates for.
Born and raised in Kent, South England, established in as a young adult actor.
Anyway, thumbs up from all of us on that one then.
Writer in residence at Bath Spa University for 3 years.
Anything else?
If I was going to be a writer in residence, it would totally be at Bath Spa University.
I'm sure anybody can read about this author if they want.
I will look into him more.
Okay. Anything
he
else?
He has a website, www.marcussedgwick.com.
All right.
And he's on Twitter.
You can go there. I'm not putting those in the show notes. All right. What do we got coming up on this schedule, Shane?
Oh, you would ask, Glenn.
Yes, I would.
I don't have it pulled up. You do ask every week, don't you?
Well, I can tell you what we're doing next
hearing
week
it.
on the show and for Friday Night Who.
What
War
are we doing next week?
Machines.
Oh, the War Machines.
And then,
Which you're not going to be here for,
I will not be here for Friday Night Who.
Aww.
And then...
Are you going to be here, or you have plans with the younglings?
No, I'll be on Twitter.
You'll be on Twitter.
Here,
Because I won't be here.
Because he won't be here at all.
Yeah, I know.
He'll be in
So you can't
St.
be
Louis.
here.
Well,
you can be there.
I won't be here, and I won't be there. I'll be up there at my house. Yes.
So
Yeah,
you
I'll
on the
be
War
there.
Machines?
I'll be joining. Yeah, I just got it.
Oh, okay.
And then we'll also...
That's where we were going with that. So we weren't just having a fun at your expense.
It didn't occur to
Are you gonna
me
be
why
joining
you guys
again?
were saying that, because I have it, and I was like, but I just got it not too long ago.
Because last I knew, you didn't.
Got it this week.
Ah.
I ordered it from Amazon.
Just reading the synopses makes me excited about it.
Well, here's why. Because you said you had one copy, and he implied that he was going to go get it. So I was going to leave it to Keith to get that copy, and then I was going to get one for him.
And did you?
Nope, I borrowed yours.
Yep.
Well, that's all right. I bought mine through our store, so we get credit for it.
Okay.
Well, there's that bonus. We will also be reviewing 8th Doctor story Time Works. If you have not started on that audio, you might want
Big
That's
finish.
part of next week, too, then.
That's
Yes.
next week.
Okay,
to.
good.
So, War Machines and Time Works.
All right.
Which you'll have lots of time on the way back and forth from St. Louis to
Although
knock that one out.
I'm probably going to try to get it done before then.
Sarah doesn't want to listen?
Sarah probably doesn't listen.
She doesn't want to listen. I floated it past her, and she's like, well, if
Yeah,
you
if
don't
we
get it
have
finished. She'd rather jam out to music.
That's the sad thing, is my favorite thing to do on long car trips is to listen to audiobooks. And Holly, the last thing she wants to do on a long car trip is listen to an audiobook. So.
I think if it were a different audiobook, she might be more interested, but...
Hey there, pulled up. Now, you have or have not listened to Time Works yet, Glenn? You've not. Okay, so it'll be new for you. It'll be new for all three of us. Good. Yeah, so there's that. And then the following week, we've got Image of the Findal with Tom Baker. And am I pronouncing that right?
Image of the Findal? Yeah.
Image of the Findal? I've never known. It's one I've not seen, believe it or not.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah. At least I
It's
don't think
one
I've
I
seen
haven't
it.
seen since I was a kid.
And then another ebook. We'll be reviewing Image of the Findal and ebook 4, The Roots of Evil, which also stars...
turnaround on the ebooks this time.
Yeah. Well, Planet Comic Con kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Making up for lost time. And I don't remember how much further we went into on the schedule online, but I'll give you a brief hint. Following that, the following week, this will be April 18th, is Tooth and Claw for Friday Night Who with David Tennant. Reason being, it sets up the Torchwood arc, and then we'll be doing Torchwood. So we've
Miracle Day.
got Web of Lies, which we've established is available somewhere.
Yeah, it's available on the DVDs.
On the DVDs, the little web.
They might be available online, like through the BBC website.
Web series, motion comic kind of thing, right? And then
10 issues of that.
10 issues of that. So we're going to do the first 5 with the first 5 episodes of Miracle Day, and then we'll be reviewing the second half of the next week. And getting a little tricksy here, because we're going to do Tooth and Claw for Friday Night Who, then Web of Lies 1 through 5, Miracle Day 1 through 5. Then the following week for Friday Night Who, we're doing The Web of Fear with Patrick Troughton, because it'll be finally out on DVD. So we're going to do the first 3 parts of that one for Friday Night Who. Finish Torchwood with Web of Lies 6 through 10 and Miracle Day 6 through 10. The following week, so into May now, Web of Fear, the final 3 parts, and then a fun... should I tell them?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because some people might want to try to get a hold of...
You might want to try and get a hold of something. We are going to do a 2-part adversary archive on the Great Intelligence. And so our Epiversary episode, number 175, we're doing Great Intelligence Part 1, which we will be kind of recapping The Snowman, which is their first appearance, The Abominable Snowman. Chronologically, the first appearance.
In the Great Intelligence's perspective.
Yeah. So the Snowman, the Abominable Snowman, or Snowmen, it's plural, and the Web of Fear. So it'll have our reviews of that. Now, we've already obviously reviewed the Snowman on the show, but we're kind of go back and recapping it now that we're going to put this whole arc together. Now, the Abominable Snowman, unfortunately, not available.
There's one episode available, and it's on the Lost in Time box set. You feel you want to do that? Another way to do it there's surviving audio, so you could purchase the audio which is what I've done before. I'll probably do Recon this time, but the Recons are also available out there. I think Loose Cannons has done this one, so
and I believe there's also a book too, if I'm a novelization.
Novelization
of it.
So you've got a couple different options.
Well.
You've got a couple different options for getting the story part.
The novelization too.
They did 2 years ago. Or
yeah,
it was one of that first batch of books, I think, that they reissued. So.
The only batch that I saw.
Right?
No,
you don't.
I got the Crusade.
But the Crusade is in that batch.
Yeah. And the Moonbase, which is now available on DVD.
And then for the following week, we'll be doing the Bells of St. John for Friday Night Who. And then continuing on with our Adversary Archive, we will be reviewing Downtime, which is the, right? Mm-hmm. Fan, help me out.
Yes, well, it's a quasi-fan-made film by Real Time, I believe is the company that did it, involving Victoria Travers, who's one of the main characters in that. Sarah Jane makes an appearance. The Brigadier gets centered mostly around the Brigadier, and then his daughter Kate Lethbridge Stewart. Actually, she's Kate something Stewart. I can't remember.
And that's Kate's first appearance, if I'm not mistaken,
Technically,
right?
Yes. And yeah, it depends on what. I mean, we'll talk a little bit more about this, but it depends on how you want to work it in canon as to whether this is the same Kate as Kate Stewart. But this would, in my headcanon, this is our first appearance of Kate Stewart. Yeah.
And it does
Different
deal with the
actors.
Great Intelligence, which is why we're lumping it in with this particular group. And then we will kind of recover Bells of St. John and the Name of the Doctor to kind of finish things off for the Great Intelligence. So there is that.
That's correct.
And we don't have anything planned after that, so I should probably get back on the ball. So you've all got a lot of homework.
That'll at least get us up to June, right? Pretty close to
mid-May. Mid-May. So you've got a lot of homework out there. We've got ebooks, we've got audiobooks, we've got Torchwood Miracle Day, we've got fan films. You got a lot on your plates for the next couple of months.
There's some people that don't follow Torchwood, so they might.
They might tune in.
Not have a lot of catching up to do for them. So, all right.
I'm excited to get you to watch it finally. I'm really kind of curious to.
I still got that last episode.
I'm really kind of curious to see what you thought of how this thing is. But
all right. Well, I think if that's going to do it for this week, then until next week, I'm Unglenn.
I'm Unshawn.
I'm Unkeith.
Uncheers.
Good night, everybody.
UnBC and UnU. You know what? No. Yeah, maybe. It's harder with more words.
Good night on everyone. That's what I should have said.
Yeah. All right. Bye.
You have been listening to Traveling the Vortex. Doctor Who and all of its associated programs are owned and trademarked by the BBC. No infringement is intended or implied.